Hello and welcome back to the Dominate Premade Semifinals here for Risen Esports. My name is Victor. Casting with me this evening for the games of Team versus Boomers and Zoomers is Coleslaw.
There are some things I'm going to point out about runes and summoners, but it looks for the moment like we're about to have a very interesting level one. All of Team grouping up in the jungle towards the one side. We've seen V&Z go for the invades up here every game they've had a chance. This
Bit
time
different.
Team is ready, and Boomers and Zoomers doing something different as well. Well, I said it was going to be interesting, and then I was wrong. Sad.
I don't know. Arctic Sands could get spotted around here. He's going for the
Whoa!
wall.
Whoa!
Arctic Sands ships in the night right now. Juiced up Brennan not going to spot it. They are going to get spotted on the wood if they go back in that direction as well. There they go. There's the vision.
If they just stayed put, TTT would have had the Galaxy Brain level 1. Instead, they get impatient. They go for the invade of their own and find nothing. So, unfortunate. They had the right idea. They just didn't wait on it quite long enough. That out of the way, we have Phase Rush at mid lane again, this time on Orianna. And once again, taking the Mana Flow Transcendence Gathering Storm. So, Phase Rush will keep that Ori speedy, but no celerity. No Nimbus Cloak, just the one keystone to give the movement speed. I'd like to see a little more movement speed. It's so fun when you commit to going all out. But Phase Rush still a good rune. It's getting popular in the new kind of mid lane meta that's been formed. Otherwise, though, pretty standard across the board. Conqueror Ezreal, not completely standard, but it is good when taking extended trades.
Yeah, Teemo takes a heavy trade actually. Has that corrupting potion, so can stay fairly healthy in the lane. But Wild Terry definitely getting those brittle stacks on, just showing what's up in the top lane. What do you think about Conqueror on a Cassiopeia rather than Phase Rush?
I mean, Phase Rush is good, right? You want movement speed, and when you're against a champion with Phase Rush, you're going to find yourself playing a little slower. But Conqueror is a great rune. It means that sustained trades, skirmishes that take a while to go off, favor you as they go. Cassiopeia, being the queen of putting out sustained DPS as a mage, means that she does benefit from that rune. I think Phase Rush probably a little better, but Conqueror has enough upside that it can be personal preference as opposed to just correct to go Phase Rush. So I'm not going to fault PhD in mid lane for that.
Yeah, Wild Terry really going to town aggressively in this top lane. Level 3 to level 2, just knowing his power spikes, going forward, making sure that this Poppy is just chugging those corrupting potions all the time in the top.
Yeah, this top lane matchup is one where I wouldn't expect any kills to go down. These are two tanks, though Ornn does have max health damage and so does Poppy. You can't really surprise kill someone. It takes someone staying in lane and disrespecting the fact that their health bar is at 20 or 30%. So if you just recall, then you're never going to die, and giving one wave to make sure you stay alive is pretty easy, especially when you both have teleport. So we're going to be watching top lane a lot. The directed cam does love seeing top laners smack each other in the face, but that smacking usually going to be pretty fruitless. I don't think we're going to see much happen here without jungler present.
You got to call what's on the stream. Kane now going over to the bottom side. Arctic Sands taking the long way, seeing that he couldn't really trade with the Kane into the bottom skull. Takes the top one, now is in wait for Teemo SEC. Has the wave pushing as well, so the gank is definitely on here. Arctic Sands puts down the pillar just for the slow, but gives him an exit. You never want to gank a Poppy from behind.
Yeah, that's a really well-played gank from Teemo SCC, saying, oh, I'll take a ride on the Trundle Express and get out of here. You think for a moment, well, of course this is going to be a blown flash, like it's a Poppy who's shoved up, and Trundle can slow her down with Pillar and secure at least a summoner. But Teemo SCC playing it well, getting the right angle to ride that Trundle all the way back to her turret, and nothing's going to come of that other than Trundle showing his face up in the top lane. Both junglers pretty much even through the early game. They traded crabs. They both got their buffs. So nothing too notable going down so far.
I actually really like this bot lane coming out of Boomers and Zoomers. If they play behind the minion wave like they are currently, they are so safe into this Braum Ezreal that they can really just scale up into the game like they want. And they're just having a lot of patience in this lane, just picking up the farm whatsoever. It's going to now crash into the tower. Alcan's going to be a little bit up on that, but nice pick up from them. But again in the top lane now, forcing out the flash, Arctic Sands. makes a return.
Yeah, so as you were saying about the bot lane, this is a good answer from BNZ. It's the punish for a pick like Ezreal. TTT decided to pick Ezreal to make sure that Elcan had more agency, had more safety in fights, even when not being peeled for. The issue is that when you're not picking something like Varus or Misfortune, you don't have that same lane dominant, and that enables a pick like Vayne. It enables a pick like Lulu, and it makes sure that BNZ can take a bot lane that actually scales crazy hard and won't go down super early in the early game due to the fact that this is an Ezreal Braum lane. They have some tools at their disposal, but it's just hard to get kills with those two champions. It's another lane that's going to want to wait on the jungler, and as long as you play around the Kayn, who's really not all that scary
Up
early
the top
on.
side looking for a Wild Terry. Call of the Forge God happens, but it doesn't matter. He hit level 6 first, but the gank in the top lane is good.
Yeah, as I was saying, Kane's not very scary pre-6. He shows up top lane and kills a Wild Terry. It's a good gank. Comes through the wall. Terry not respecting the fact that Kane has some interesting gank paths. He was a little low, and Teemo SEC with enough trading going down.
Wow. Keeper's verdict right back into lane. Wants that wave to crash. So that's actually quite nice. You get a lot of value out of that. If Wild Terry could actually stall and freeze the wave against him, that would be unfortunate, but that was a really nice use of the ultimate just to crash the wave.
Yeah, that was super interesting. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it, but it does deny the freeze. It does deny Terry the ability to farm safely because the wave does get under turret. And it also makes sure that by the time you get back to lane, I mean, your ultimate's half off cooldown already, so there's not as much of a cost to using it. So if you can get a little bit of a lead by using it right before you recall, you go for it every time. Interesting heads-up play by Teemo SEC. A good trick for any aspiring Poppy mains out there.
Yeah, Juiced Up Brennan also showing top lane means that the dragon is going to go down. That was Infernal into the waiting arms of BNZ. They are the scaling team, we said, so just any objective that they can take for free is wonderful for them. Again, playing towards this top side, the Raccoon God. Potentially looking for a little bit of a roam, just showing himself outside of lane.
Yeah, so the Infernal Dragon, it's huge for BNZ because they do want to have two champions building tons and tons of damage. It doesn't give a ton of stats. 4%'s really nothing to write home
It's
about.
up into the top side here. Does have the red buff for the slow. Wild Terry just trying to get to his tower. Doesn't have the call of fortune because he's going to have to flash away.
Yeah, and well played once again by Juiced Up Brandon and Teemo SEC. Terry also making sure not to go down to that gank. Held on to his flash as long as he could. Did realize he was going to have to burn it into a Kayn with ult available. Used flash to get to safety underneath his turret. As I was saying, though, Dragon big for BNZ because it stalls out the soul for TTT. Come mid-game, we don't really, and I don't think we really would anticipate.
Arctic Sands. Wonderful pillar. Shockwave down onto PhD mid lane.
Ooh,
And Petrifying Gate is going to go wide. That forces a flash out of PhD.
Yeah, and just a misplay on the gank there. PhD in mid lane a little too far forward, completely lifts the Petrifying Gaze, and suddenly is very vulnerable to a kill. Very well played by the Raccoon God. Flashing early, not making the same mistake as last game. He was holding it for next game. It's next game, he's not holding it any longer. Using flash to trade for a flash despite being ganked. Very good outplay from the Orianna on that.
Juiced Up Brendan is making things happen in the early game. A Rift now getting taken, however, for Arctic Sands means that he's trying to trade for this pressure bot lane. They really need to try and make the skill work out, as you do not want to lose that Rift. You do not want to get the scaling going over, as all of the objectives are going BNZ's way.
Yeah, and this is Trundle's specialty. This is why he's a pick right now in the meta, is that objectives matter, and even if he's not successful on ganks, he's just so strong at soloing down Rift Herald, soloing down Dragon, and making sure his team has these neutral objectives. So though they're down a kill, though they're down a little bit of pressure, that Herald take will get BNZ right back in the game. It'll even that gold lead right back up if it can be used to take some plates or take a turret, and that makes sure that things don't get too far out of hand. It's important when you play a scaling comp. You don't want to fight for objectives, but you always want to focus on trying to pick them up for free where you can, because that's how you can stay afloat. That's how you don't get too far behind in the early game and guarantee yourselves a chance at the late game where you win so hard.
Yeah, Alcan just looking for a base if he can, pushing the wave under tower. Juiced Up Brendan there as well, maybe looking for a collapse here. The Raccoon God spent a lot of time outside of lane, has that presence in the mid lane just to be able to rotate around the map first. PhD doesn't have flash, neither does the Raccoon God though.
Yeah, and while that's happening, we see Juiced Up Renin just pilfering some Krugs away from Arctic Sands with that bot lane priority, able to go for the invade, and then use that E to walk the wall and get right out of there as if nothing ever went wrong. Just a good little pickup by Juiced Up Renin. He was very good about counter jungling last game, but on Kayn now, it's actually exciting. You look forward towards getting your gold. It matters that you can get your item. Kayn really is going to need to have items to be useful, so counter jungling a whole lot more effective this time. Going to matter a lot.
They do have Rift Herald on Arctic Sands in the bottom lane. He's going to charge it up here. Kayn, Juiced Up Brennan on the wings. This will crash, however. Juiced Up Brennan going forward. Maybe looking for something. What can he find? Going to be able to get the crash. And shared gold between him and Bobblast is really nice to get that Vayne snowballing yet further ahead.
Yep.
Shockwave in the mid, however. PhD in the mid lane. Petrifying Gaze goes wide yet again. The Raccoon God gets his CDs up and will crash on in.
Yeah, and that's just a solo kill. PhD in mid lane didn't play it terribly wrong. The Conqueror just came online a little too late. The Raccoon God wisely used the phase rush to kite away and then come back in once the cooldowns were available. And that's going to secure the Orianna the kill. And I think that's a kill where we can say the rune choices made a big difference. Cassiopeia wants to be a machine gun spamming E. Orianna kind of wants to dart in and out, and phase rush allowed the Raccoon God take the pacing of that fight into his own hands to kite away and come back in and secure that kill. So solo kill going over to the Orianna, and that's huge for Team. They need to be winning this early game, and with solo kills going down, they're starting to make that happen.
Yeah, Juiced Up Brennan again up into the top side, looking for the dive onto a Wild Terry. Uses the Umbral Trespass just to reset the cooldown. Now Teemo has to flash away. Survives as well, but the Dragon yet again goes over to BNZ.
Yeah, so a kill is good, but if you're an early game team and you don't have an objective yet, it's a little concerning. You want to look towards something like the Dragon Soul as a means of balancing out the lopsided scaling a little bit. When you give over 2 dragons, if TTT is...
Gets stunned up here in the bottom lane, and the knock up as well. Here comes the healing and shielding coming out of LS. But LS will fall. TP as well. Bobblast has to retreat now. Arctic Sands going forward. Gonna potentially trade his life on the Gubbers. He goes golden and a Wild Terry matching the teleport. Another one coming in. A Raccoon God wants to join the bottom lane fray. He has that shockwave as well. Looks for it. Flashed out from by Wild Terry.
Interesting play all around. I'm not sure what I want to say about that. Arctic Sands just seeing red there, going absolutely mental onto D Grubbers. Not sure that was necessary aggression with the teleport coming in. You're never going to kill that Brawl, especially when he has a stopwatch. It's going to cost BNZ some extra flashes. They're lucky that it didn't go worse for them. It was only Ellis that went down, so not a total disaster for them, but it was a risky play for sure.
Is found, traded the flashes for Juiced Up Brennan, but here comes Teemo SEC on the wall charge. The stun up onto PhD in the mid lane. Can't quite find the kill. Onto Juiced Up Brennan as well.
Wow. What a kill, right?
Oh, absolutely. Like, Teemo SEC totally saving the jungler's life. And Juiced Up Brennan playing that very well on the edge. Can't trade 1 for 1, but just waits, bides time in that bush.
Yeah, the flash into the bush seemed to have disoriented PhD in mid lane. He didn't know where the Kayn went, and he flashed over the wall and didn't see him. And by the time he realized, it was just a little too late because there was a Poppy coming in with a slam. So that's going to be a kill. PhD in mid lane trying to defend the Gromp, isn't able to get the Gromp, isn't able to get the kill, goes down as well. And that is bad news for this Cassiopeia. You do not want to be 0-2 at 14 minutes. PhD in mid lane really struggling after slipping in game 2, not finding success here in game 3. Gonna need to turn it around as this game goes on, because this is now a 3,500 gold lead at 15 minutes. That's not a commanding, insurmountable lead when you've got such a big scaling advantage.
Teemo's committed. Arctic Sand comes in with the pillar, but yet again gives an exit to Teemo SEC, now tanking up the tower. The Subjugate was used, but he has to back away. Already now Kayn looking for the juicy pick of the Trundle. Can't quite find the knock-up. Arctic Sands trying to get the mobility, but now Wild Terry is on the firing line with that red buff.
And Juiced Up Brennan just fighting in top lane non-stop. This is good for him. He wants to go red Kane, and the fact that he's able to trade into this Ornn, get some extra Kane orbs, going to help expedite that process in a big way. So even if you're not getting a kill, just the fact that no one dies despite the gank, and then Juiced Up Brennan gets to come in and progress towards his red form as quickly as possible. Big advantage for team, especially with these other lanes winning passively. The bot lane up 20 CS, the mid lane up 30 CS. If Juiced Up Brennan can just negate what Arctic Sands is trying to do, then he is doing what TTT needs him to do to keep the lead going.
Yeah, we talked about that 5-6k gold lead. That almost at that point now. Elcan, you could just see in that bot lane, Mystic shots coming thick and fast, meaning they're going to be able to get a lot of priority in this bottom lane, potentially going to be able to get this first tower down as well. That'll just free themselves up to the map. That means Elcan can roam around, but up in the mid lane, call the Forge God used, the Rakan God has to flash away, already used that shockwave. True Shot Barrage used as well. Juiced Up Runner now going forward. Red buff has worn out a Wild Terry on the front line. Humble Trespass, they're going deep on this one. Does Brenner want it? He gets a double, potentially a triple as well.
Huge play for TTT. It's a gank gone horribly wrong. Arctic Sands comes in, tries to get the Raccoon God, but PhD in mid lane chunked on the front of that play by the Shockwave, not able to follow it up as much as he would like. Raccoon God using the flash differential to get over the wall and out to safety. Arctic Sands not able to follow. And then when Juiced Up Brennan shows up, when the True Shot Barrage from Elcan flies right through Arctic Sands in a Wild Terry, that's enough damage for Juiced Up Brennan to go absolutely ham. He goes in on the turret dive, gets a couple kills. It's a 3 for 0 when B&Z started to play, and they are slipping further and further behind here. They need to be holding on and playing safe, and instead...
down, Elcan just trying to get as much damage as he can, but it's onto D-Grubbers now. Manages to get the escape from Boost Up Brennan, but Boblast goes forward aggressively, searches for the support. Now they're back onto Elcan, forcing out the flash as it's a two-man stack in the bottom lane. 4-man here for the side of Boomers and Zoomers. They're now looking for this Drake. They're looking to keep this ball rolling. Juiced Up Brennan going back in. Boblast goes down as Elcan. Arcane shifts forward, going onto LS now. Definitely going to fall as well. Juiced Up Brennan. True Shot Barrage does go wide. Juiced Up Brennan just corralling him away from this objective.
Yeah, and Babla's trying to put on the carry pants. He sees how everything's going wrong. He gets a kill. You get a little excited. You say, all right, I'm going to carry this game. My team's not doing so hot, but I'm on the board now. We've got a kill. Let's go. We want to get this dragon. We've already got 2. If we can get a 3rd, maybe we have a win con. And just a little too eager. This Ezreal with the Muramana complete is so strong. And oh boy, Juiced Up
Brennan wants this 1v1. Humble Trespass onto PhD in the mid lane. So much healing, but the stun is there from the Petrifying Gauge this time. That means he's in no man's land, and that's just a kill going over to the skating mid laner of the Cassiopeia.
Yeah, that's a hard 1v1 for Kane to take, even with his red form, even when he's 5-0. It's just hard to land those abilities. PhD in mid lane jukes out on the knockups both times, lands the Petrifying Gauge. That's all it takes.
Here. Gonna get chased down. PhD in the mid lane.
Whoa.
Never know. You saw that damage though. Raccoon God is an absolute beast in this mid lane.
That Trundle got chunked for 60%. That was a massive chunk out of the Raccoon God. You do not want to be ganking that Orianna if you're the Trundle. That is way too much damage. Immediately defused. Arctic Sands thinking maybe he has something, and the answer is no. Gotta run for his life.
Yeah, Teemo SEC taking down this top tower just means that all the chips are going in a row here for Team. The scaling is there. Call Forge God's using to the top side. That means he looks to go onto Teemo, but he just shuts it down. That was really nice just to disengage all of that. Yeah,
the Ornn cannot redirect the Ornn Horn if he cannot dash. So if Poppy's right on top of him, that means that ram is not flying through the Poppy, and that means that it's just immediately diffused. A Wild Terry looking like he might have had a kill there, but well played by Teemo to make sure that that did not happen. It's going to get them a Herald as well. And finally, TTT, they had the kills. They're starting to secure the objectives. Cloud Drake in their hands, a second Rift Herald. They're going to look to try and use this Herald for sure to push down an entire turret with the lead that they have in this game.
Yeah, they have a lot to choose from. They're yet to break these T2s, all the T1s down, so they can really move vision forward. They can look to play aggressive. Juiced Up Brennan has so much mobility on this Kane as well. We've already mentioned that. Already just into the enemy jungle, taking away the objectives. A Wild Terry coming up here as well. Arctic Sands into, maybe looking for Juiced Up Brennan. Gets a knock up down, but the support is on the way for Team, but it is as well. Keeper's Verdict takes out two. That means it's a mismatch fight. Stun up on the wall, a knock up as well, and PhD in mid lane will fall.
Wow, the Keeper's Verdict giving so much value to Team. Knocking two people away, making sure that the Cassiopeia is suddenly out of position. It was four people clumped up together, but suddenly it's only two, and Cassiopeia not able to flash out of the slam into the wall. Teemo SEC using that to generate a pick, and it looks like Team, they can sense the urgency. They know they need to win this game fast. Forget the Rift Herald, they want the Baron, and there is not going to be a contest from BNZ for this objective.
Yeah, exactly. Using that Rift Herald top as a distraction. Base is coming out of Arctic Sands. He does not want to contest. Now this lead is ballooned into 9,000 for the side of Team. We talked about that lead of 5,000-6,000. They're over that point now. They can really try and look to run the map, and with this Baron buff, they can look to siege up. We said about the delayed push back on these minions, and with this Baron buff, it's going to be very difficult to really shut down this poke that can come out of Elcan.
Yeah, and at this point, Team's lead is so much stronger. They'll win any team fight where they don't completely misplay it. If Orianna can hit a shockwave on just one priority target, that'll be enough. Kane can run amok in the BNZ backline. He's got his cleaver, he's got his warrior, he's doing crazy damage. The Umbral Trespass is going to make sure that he doesn't get blown up too fast. He can heal a ton if he uses it on the Ornn or the Trundle. And it's just looking like a struggle for BNZ. Vayne not even at 2 items yet. Her counterpart Ezreal has a Trinity Force and an online Mura mana. Elcan going to be doing so much more damage than Boblas at this point. The Raccoon God, we've seen that Orianna's damage even against tanks like the Trundle, and look at that Mystic Shot damage onto Boblas. There may be Lulu shields, but it is hard to stop all that damage.
Gonna get caught up. Here we go. Final hour proc, looking for D-Grubbers, but he's just delaying. Teleport coming down as well. That's the Raccoon God coming into the fight. And final hour has been used.
Yeah, so final hour, you want to use that to be getting kills. They see what they think is a pick on the Braum, they go for it. It's good out of BNZ to not overcommit to that chase. They realize once they don't have the kill yet, they need to back off, they need to call the play off. It wasn't going to work.
The target, Keeper's Verdict goes wide. That means that he's got to fight his way out if he can. Call of the Forge God used as well. A little bit of a true shot barrage to be able to help his top laner. It's a 4-man stack here. That means that bottom is exposed here for Team. They can't overchase. They can't even secure the kill on Teemo, as their base is absolutely getting shredded by Elcan, just pushing forward, and PhD in the mid lane just can't clear these supers.
Yeah, you see question mark pings coming down on the map from Team. They get the bot lane inner turret. They get a huge chunk on the mid lane inhibitor. BNZ just spending so much time trying to chase down Teemo SEC on this Poppy. They're not able to get the kill, and they lose so much pressure. They're playing against a Baroned up team, and they're chasing a
Shockwave onto 3 into the mid. Double knock up there for Juiced Up Brennan, who goes forward. Tower is now down. They can go into this bottom. Teemo is in the top as well. True Shot Barrage off cooldown yet again with that Cloud Drake, and Elcan goes forward, takes down the AD carrier Boblas.
Yeah, fantastic shockwave from the Raccoon God. Great follow-up from Juiced Up Brennan. Elcan landing a Mystic Shot as well to take down Boblas. It's a 2 for 0. It's an inhibitor. They have a wave push down in top lane. They're going to get a second inhibitor. This Baron push working out fantastically for Team. They're going to be able to get it recalls. Oh no, the Baron wears out just before they can get the powered recalls. But a fantastic Baron power play from them. They're able to take down 5 turrets, 2 inhibitors. They can reset and turn their eyes towards this Cloud Dragon and the mid lane push as soon as they want.
Yeah, if they can ramp that up as well, if they can keep getting this CDR, True Shot Barrage being used on cooldown, effectively topside just to sway them off the chase onto Teemo, and again in the middle, looking for this next Cloud Drake as they do now reset onto the map. And with double inhibitor spawn, it's going to be very difficult for Boomers and Zoomers to challenge.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough comeback for Boomers and Zoomers. There's always that potential, there's always that opportunity. They do have the Vayne Cassiopeia Ornn. Ornn finally hits level 13. The ornaments are coming in. They are down 12k gold though, so it's going to take a sequence of unfortunate mistakes from Team for this to matter. But all it takes is one swing, one misplay, one Vayne getting a quick and easy pentakill when Team dives a little too far, and the game can break right back open. TTT gonna need to play this slow. They're gonna need to play it smart. They can wait for their super minions, and as long as they don't overcommit, they should be fine.
Juiced Up Brennan has a 3-level lead on his jungler. Keeper's Verdict punts out PhD in mid lane. Now they're going forward. The Raccoon God is the target. Can they get away though? Flash for Bob Blast. They're looking for him. He can get it. He's got it onto the mid lane. Teemo, SCC trying to keep the fight going up into the bottom lane with the Vayne now coming back into the fray. This might be good. A big damage dealer is down. Teemo tanking up so much damage. Shoots up Brennan, doesn't want to re-engage. Bob Blast has the red buff, chasing him down now. He's trying to get into the wall, can't quite find it. PhD in the mid lane also just trying to corral them up into the top. But now they have to defend their base. They have to defend against all these minions hitting the Nexus.
Yep, one Nexus turret goes down, the second one takes a big chunk. It's not total disaster for BNZ. They get the kills on exactly who they need them on. Bobla's picking up 2, including a big shutdown on the Orianna. It's the value of 3 kills. The issue, they no longer have a Nexus turret. They're still losing the game, but it's hope. It's a glimmer at the end of the tunnel for BNZ. If they can get another couple fights like that, if they can just hold on, get a couple more kills onto Boblas, he does have the upgraded Blade of the Ruin King now. He's starting to get very strong. He's just going to need to play fights very well. We saw a lot of things go wrong for TT. The Shockwave completely whiffed. The Kayn wasn't able to get into the middle of BNZ either, and so they were missing out on damage that they needed to the backline. And you're going to need to hope that the same thing happens again and again. The Raccoon God has the opportunity to close out a fight with a good Shockwave still. Whiffing, though, is going to make it very, very tough. The pressure is on a little bit. When you start slipping against Vayne Cassio, you can feel in the back of your mind, like, okay, like, this is getting a little anxious. This is a problem if we do that 1 or 2 more times, because this can fall out of TTT's hands very quickly.
Yeah, something to note is that upgrade paths for Ornn aren't exactly wonderful for PhD in mid lane. Kind of needs to work out what he is going next. Potentially a Death Cap, as that can get upgraded. That could be a nice pickup. But he's so far away from that upgrade that you're losing that potential 1,000 gold that they really do need 11,000 down, as they do now start up the Baron on the side of Team.
Yeah, so this Baron is a big deal for Team. It's hard for BNZ to contest when they have double inhib down, so it's looking like they're just going to have to win a fight once TTT pushes their way in. And as you pointed out, the ornaments have come in for the Ornn and for the Vayne, but there is no more Ornn items available. While we're talking about those builds, welcome to a pause.
Yeah, you could go Salvation on the LS as well for the Lulu. That could be a nice little bit of a pickup, but very defensive. Zeke's Convergence on this front line for Arctic Sands. Couldn't really find anything. Only part of 2 assists, 12 kills going over to the side of Team. Means that they've really been able to pile drive through this game. Second Baron of the game. They'll be able to group down mid lane, push that with the supers in the bottom and top.
Yeah, TTT looking to push to end here. With the inhib still down for a little while, they're going to have the time to utilize this pressure. BNZ, they're going to need to fight. They're going to need to win the fight. You're going to have to pay attention to Boblas. It's going to be the Vayne that pops off and wins a fight if it's going to happen. Pay attention to the Shockwave as well. If they can catch the Vayne, it's game over. If Vayne can pop off, it might just be what BNZ needs. But inhibitor going down, there is only 1 turret left on the map, and TTT is pushing it down already.
Level 16 on the Shockwave will be absolutely horrendous if you can find it. Call of Forge God happened early. Boblad's final hour, but he's only onto Juiced Up Brennan, dealing a lot of damage to Juiced Up Brennan. Shockwave goes onto Boblast. That was the target that they wanted. He's been exhausted. They're chasing him down. He's dead. Juiced Up Brennan has secured it for the team. Team now looking to go 2-1 up in the series. They can see it in their grasp. They're going onto PhD in mid lane. They're going aggressive. Juiced Up Brennan could find something, but it doesn't matter. They pushed in the minions. They pushed in the base, and that'll be the game.
The Shockwave connects, and that's all she wrote. As soon as the Raccoon God hits that shockwave onto Bobla's, the exhaust comes in right after, and despite all of his best efforts, Vayne just can't carry a fight when he's getting focused down that hard. Tried his best, put out a ton of damage, but just couldn't secure a kill. Juiced up Renan gets low and uses the Humble Trespass to disappear. The Braum puts up the Unbreakable, and nothing goes in the way of BNZ. TTT, a well-fought game, a little bit of sloppiness there where they gave a couple kills to the Vayne, but they're able to go take the Baron, secure the win right after. And just like that, they drop game 1, but they pick up games 2 and 3, and we are now on match point going into game 4 for team.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see if they can bounce back from this little bit of a deficit. Have to reset their mental, as we said, 2 losses in a row. A third will be the nail in the coffin here, looking for their push to the finals at the Dominate Premade semi-finals here for Risen Esports. Really looking forward to game number 4. We'll be right back with it. Hello and welcome back to game number 4 for the Dominate Premade Semifinals between Team and Boomers and Zoomers. My name is Richter, and casting with me this evening is Coleslaw.
We are getting right into draft game 4. We've seen lots of adjustments from these teams for each draft. It seems like the losing team always has something they want to change. This game is no different. We have a side swap for the first time this series. Boomers and Zoomers, with their game 4 side selection, have decided, you know what? Maybe we want to go red side this time. And draft has changed pretty drastically because of it. We see a Poppy ban coming out of them. Teemo SCC has been a monster on Poppy in the last 2 games. They figure, all right, let's just get rid of that. Ornn once again being the first pick on blue side. BNZ went for a huge late game scaling comp last game that backfired. TTT picking up Ornn. It seems like maybe it's their turn to try the scaling approach. And the Ornn is immediately answered by Set Elise. 2 powerful early and mid game pickups.
Yeah, we've seen Elise played on the other side, so we'll have to see how it does in the hands of BNZ. TNT picking up that Ornn, looking for that scaling tank again. Set, we said, was a contentious pick in this series, and it's now going over into the hands of a Wild Terry yet again. Have to see how it goes. Kane hovered as well. Braum, super quick pickup here as well. Blind picking Braum is definitely interesting, a little bit of counterplay, but we saw that Vayne and Lulu couldn't really get going.
We actually have a correction in chat. The Braum is Kane, so not a blind pick Braum. They meant to pick Pro Draft, decided to mess with them, so pretend like Braum is Kane. They're totally the same person, and they're going to lock in the blind pick Victor instead. Another interesting blind pick decision.
Yeah, as long as you can control the wave management on Victor early, you do take a little bit of time to scale up into the game. But we saw Raccoon God have an amazing game on their win. Was banned out against him in the next game, so have his hands onto this bit. The Pyke in the bot lane here for BNZ, very exciting stuff. Potentially going to see an AP bot laner to match with that.
Yeah, and this time you see it's BNZ finally getting kind of what they want. After game 1, where the Set was a monster, they just wanted to get a draft where they could get Set and no Taric on the enemy team. But last game, they weren't able to make that happen because they had to priority Ornn. This game, with Ornn unavailable, it means that Set can come in, and Taric is banned this time. So a Wild Terry actually going to be able to go for those dives. He's got a diving buddy in the Pyke. He's got an Elise to go along with him. BNZ looking to get onto anyone squishy that TTT selects, blow them up in fights. That's a Teemo ban.
That is a Teemo ban.
It's a Braum ban.
We're banning Braum is Teemo. Because obviously Braum was picked up, they can't ban the Braum, so Teemo was Braum. They do not want that in the game anymore. Pyke, in the response to that, Braum can shut down Pyke quite nicely, although that concussive blows take a while to stack up, and Pyke is so mobile. Tristana will be the last ban on the other side, so much flexibility on that champion to engage when you want to and disengage with that buster shot and jump.
Yeah, and Trist, of course, also a flex pick. For red side, when you don't have mid lane and 80 carry selected, if you lock in Trist right here, it means you're telling exactly nothing about where you intend to send that champion. Instead, they'll lock in Lucian, another champion that can go mid lane on occasion. Probably going to be bot lane. Going to be answered with Xayah Rakan. Wow, that's a powerful bot lane duo for TTT. We haven't seen either of these picks yet, but they sure have a lot of agency and synergy, and that's a strong bot lane compared to Pyke.
Yeah, we'll have to see what the pickup is here. Vel'Koz, I think that actually could be a bot lane Vel'Koz. A little bit difficult to farm, so you do need to put points into the AoE, not quite the slow. So we'll have to see whether or not Vel'Koz is into the mid, into that Victor, or into the answer of the bot lane. Still flexible, so this is a nice draft coming out of BNZ. Like game number 1, we thought that they had the edge of that. Didn't quite find the... Well, they did find the win with that, actually. So this is a really good pick and play style for them, and I have to see if they can use that advantage.
Yeah, the difference here is that despite the flexibility, you could send Victor mid or Lucian mid, but he's not particularly good into Victor. And the other thing is that when you're last picking, you're not really benefiting from the fact that you can flex, because hiding the information doesn't do anything for you, except as far as confusing what runes are going to be going. But you get to see who's playing what champion in champion select, and that solves that problem for TTT. So though there's that flexibility, it's not giving them as much of an advantage as it did in the game 1 draft. But BNZ do have a lot of power. They've drafted 5 damage dealers. If they're gonna go out, they're gonna go out with a bang here. Vel'Koz, Pyke, Set, Lucian, Elise, all of them just want to blow up priority targets. It's going to be tough for Elcan to stay safe. The Featherstorm going to be a crucial defensive tool here. Going to need to time it well, use it to dodge out from coons or pike hooks, or even a Vel'Koz knockup. Just one missed skill shot, or just one non-juked skill shot, should I say, can be a huge problem for Elcan with all of this damage. However, TTT, they do have a huge late game insurance policy. Ornn in the gauge from Khan. Braum band means that there's no unbreakable to deny the Ornn horn. So lots of different tools at TTT's disposal to answer all of BNDZ's damage.
Yeah, not a lot of massive lockdowns, so Vel'Koz is kind of going to have to find his own picks or rely on Pyke or that Cocoon to come out. Set's looking to really push forward, and being able to match that with that disintegration wave will be a little bit difficult to engineer in the fights. Really looking forward to see how the Raccoon Dog does on this Victor. Yet again, Teemo now playing the Ornn up in the top lane as well, looking to scale up for his team. A lot better build path for Victor to be able to get that passive upgrade with the Master Forged item.
Yeah, and so I think the summary of this draft is last game we said TTT had to win fast or lose. This game, BNZ has to win fast or lose. If Vel'Koz and Pyke get behind, those are 2 super vulnerable champions. Pyke really needs to be ahead to be diving in and doing his thing. And Vel'Koz from behind is slow, he's immobile, he's vulnerable. Against champions like Ornn and Kayn and Khan, he's just a sitting duck. So if BNZ don't have an early lead, they're going to get into trouble quickly because there are some sitting ducks on their team. There are some champions who don't play well from behind. They're going to need to win this early game if they want to have a shot at this game overall.
Yeah, when that Featherstorm comes in at level 6 for Elcan Xayah, a lot of safety attributed to that lane with the swiftness as well, being another disengage tool for Deep Rubbers, means that Pyke's going to have to play very aggressive early on to try and get Lucian that lead. Lucian known for having that early strong laning phase, but you need to capitalize on that. You really can't go skating into that Xayah and Rakan, who also have that strong lane as well with that pairing.
Yeah, so I think if you're BNZ, you need to be playing through top, you need to be playing through mid. I think with how Terry played Set in the one win that BNZ was able to pick up, you really want to see him repeat that performance. He gave Elcan such a bad time in game 1, and if he can repeat that, that's going to be a win condition for BNZ. Bot lane, not really a strength matchup-wise. Pyke and Lucian are both fine early game, but in Desire Rakan, they're not particularly strong. You're going to need to have a jungler there to make something happen. Even then, it's tough because Rakan has the dashes, Xayah has the Featherstorm. It's just tricky to get on top of them. Whereas something like a Victor can punish, something like an Ornn, if you're able to get the gank off, Set lands a Facebreaker and Elise lands a Cocoon, you can kill that before he gets. So that's where BNZ need to look to generate their lead. And we'll see if they can leverage that into Dragons and into getting bot lane ahead as well.
Oh, it's the Vel'Koz, Lucian, and Pyke here for the last hurrah for Boomers and Zoomers, trying to get themselves to that Game 5. It's team trying to bunch their ticket to the finals to end their season in a strong note, going 3-1 in the series. We'll be right back with the result of Game 4. Looking forward to that, Coleslaw. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to game number 4 for the Dominate Premade semi-finals between Team and Boomers and Zoomers. 2-1 on the scorecards coming into this one, game 4. My name is Rick Dorr, and casting with me this evening is Coleslaw.
All right, we're going to have to see how level 1 goes this game. We had an interesting close call last game where Team was almost big brain in trying to catch out Arctic Sands, but they just were a little impatient. This time they're not invading over a ward. I was wrong. A few things to observe before any action starts happening. We see a cleanse on the Victor mid lane. This is solely respect for that Elise. Cleanse, basically worthless into a Vel'Koz. He has the persisting slow on his ultimate. He has the uncleansable knockup on his E. It means that Victor really only taking that to get away from the Elise. So that's a very respectful summoner spell, but also one that's not going to be of much use in the 1v1. Other than that, though, things seem to be pretty normal. We have an unsealed Spellbook Ornn. We've seen Grasp last game. Grasp a little more standard, but Spellbook always an acceptable take, especially in a lane like against Set, where having an extra summoner spell or two can really help you win a trade here and there. Popping an exhaust that's unexpected, or using a barrier or a ghost to save your own skin as you try to get away can always catch someone by surprise and make sure that you don't get too far behind in that lane, because that's all you want to do as Ornn. You want to sit there, you want to sit back, and you want to survive until you're level 13.
Yeah, a little bit of a leash there for the bot lane means that D-Gubbers and Elcan will be a little bit delayed to this lane. Able to get that farm though, but they aren't going to have that level 2. That means LS has a chance to make something happen at that level 2 mark.
Yeah, and as we said during draft, this is a game where we want to look for some early aggression coming out of BNZ. Arctic Sands going to need to be making things happen on this Elise. They are getting outscaled very hard in this game, and if they cannot look for early kills, they are going to be in trouble. Oh, Ellis not.
Goes wide. He does step up though. He does zone them away from the wave, so that was correct. Doesn't quite land the skill shot. Unfortunate, but that means Boblast does have the wave set up in a good spot right now. Just needs to push that into turret to see if they can reset, because you can't really dive too deep now as the Pike.
Yep. Elise towards bot side.
Mid lane is tanking tower right now as Arctic Sands comes up into the mid lane and the Raccoon God has to flash respectively.
Yeah, wow, that was some serious aggression from the Raccoon God. He wanted to get some trades. He was bloodthirsty and angry, but not gonna make anything happen. Does have to get away from the Elise. And unfortunately, blowing his flash instead of the cleanse. We have the cleanse specifically for the Elise, so using flash to get away from her instead, really not ideal if you're the Raccoon God. I cannot speak.
Coming down into the bottom lane, however, Arctic Sands went from mid to bottom and really trying to show some urgency in this early stages of the game. Now trading for that bottom rift to the top scuttle. A little bit of a base for Wild Terry just in the bushes.
Yeah, and with the gank setup that this bot lane has from BNZ, you almost would like to see them pushed in right now, because being pushed in means that Elcan and D-Grubbers would have to respect the Elise more. They're still respecting it right now.
Still coming out, forces the flash out of Elcan. The push back, but Grubbers can get back easily. Cocoon lands under the tower. Arctic Sands tanks up 1, tanks up 2, but repels it. That means Boblast is in the fray, has to heal, goes back in, forces the heal out of Elcan.
So we see 3 summoners burn for 3 summoners. Bobla's taken just as low as Elcan is. D-Grubber's actually just as healthy as Ellis as well. So all in all, it's a gank, but it's a perfectly even trade. Arctic Sands wasting his time while that's happening. Juiced up Brennan taking the topside jungle. You can see all of those camps are completely down. So overall, a map win for TTT, because Kane farming while Elise is pulling off a gank that just doesn't quite work. Those turret shots putting in so much work for TTT. Absolutely chunking Arctic Sands, and then Bobless.
Deep hit for Elcan, but the re-engage there. Grand Entrance doesn't quite hit onto Bobless. But this aggression coming out of this bot lane does mean that there's a CS lead brewing for Boblast. Coming into the top though, Juiced Up Brennan shows up onto the rift, onto Wild Terry. A big minion wave here. Team SXT has to be careful. They can't even fight in the minions.
Yeah, it's a good timing gank to relieve some pressure, make sure that Team OSCC doesn't actually get dove or anything of the sort. But that is a lot of minions. And as soon as you start pulling minion aggro, your health bar is just going down. So even though they've got the 2v1, the Kane's there coming in with a whole lot of health, it's just not enough to tank the minion wave. And here's Elise yet again.
Sands down to the bot lane, gets the cocoon, and first blood goes over to Arctic Sands.
Yep, the repeat gank. Arctic Sands just wants it. He keeps going. He knows he blew summoners. He knows he needs to get that lead. So he's on the warpath. Why farm when you can gank? Why do anything else when you can gank? Juiced up Brennan following that same approach. Not a whole lot happening there, though. That's a very healthy set. Anyway, that is first blood. It does go to the Elise. You'd really prefer to see that onto someone like the Lucian or the Pike. They're going to do a little more to snowball with a lead, but money on the jungler early is always good. Arctic Sands, you'd like to see him pick up something like Moby Boots in this game, I think. You just want that Elise everywhere all the time. That's going to be your way to win this game.
Yeah, juiced up Brennan, farming very strongly, trading yet again into that top part of the map. But as you say, that gank going over to Arctic Sands, he needs to push it aggressively as well. Maybe look to get this early dragon, since they do have this priority into the bottom lane, coming back into the lane with that Vampiric Scepter, just to boot, and a longsword as well, just stopping the bases coming out of D-Grubbers, who hasn't based yet. This delay is actually really impactful.
Yeah, big delay. It looked like a bait from D Grovers at that point, trying to see if Ellis was going to do something silly and overstay. Not actually going to commit to it, though. Ellis smart enough to know when he's being baited, not going to go on the recalling Rakan again. Just going to dash out of there, get the stun, and say, haha, wasted your time. So, good bit of heads-up play from Ellis, who has already come from base, making sure to waste D Grovers' time a little more. Always valuable if you can stop a back. It's just an extra 12 or 15 seconds.
Coastal, there is a window bot lane, and it could be absolutely massive if Arctic Sands goes down toward this bottom side with this big wave crashing. Juiced up Brennan is hovering around this bottom side, but if you can deny this minion wave away from Elcan, level 4, 24 CS against the 58 of Bob Blast, this will be absolutely horrendously large, but they are trying to hover over this. They know that it could happen. Arctic Sands over to the bottom side is favoring for the camps.
Yeah, and Arctic Sands just taking the Raptor camp as that wave starts to arrive. Here's Juiced Up Brennan here to give the number.
Looking for the double knock up as well. D-Gubbers up on the front line now, tanking down from Bob Blast. Here comes Arctic Sands missing away from the cocoon as Tumble Trespass comes up into it, trying to get the retreat, goes back in, kill over in the top lane as well, but in the bottom, Arctic Sands repels down, Ignite is on it, PH in mid lane comes down as well.
Yeah, and actually, Juiced Up Brandon goes down to the Pike Ignite, and while that's happening, it looks like a Wild Terry took down Teemo SCC in a solo kill. So though it looked good for a moment for Team, suddenly things start going from bad to worse. They give up 3 kills at once, and then they lose the dragon, so huge trade for BNZ. They've got a 2k gold lead.
They're in control with the shielding up into the top lane, and Wild Terry going very low, has to flash away from the knock-up. Teemo flashes as well.
And you know what they say about Ornn, right? He's everyone's favorite mage, ninja, assassin, warlock, sorcerer, demigod, ninja, pirate, everything. He goes down, he teleports back in, he picks up a kill. No big deal. And that is big for TTT. They were looking like they were going to be on the ropes. A Wild Terry just overstaying a little bit, letting Teemo get a kill, get himself back into the game. Very, very crucial. It could have gotten out of hand. Top lane going to stay balanced for now with that kill going back over to Teemo SCC. It's really only bot lane that has a lead right now. There is that big 30 CS differential. That's a huge part of BNZ's lead right now, but they need to keep growing it. Elise got that 1 kill. Elise got another couple kills with the second gank, gets the dragon, but you got to keep going. The gas pedal needs to stay pressed down. There is no relenting for BNZ in a game where they're racing not to get outscaled.
Yeah, they have a lot of vision to be able to do that in the river right now. A little bit of a roam there for LS, just securing the safety of that Belkos PhD in the mid lane. Again, now comes down bottom, always looking for the skewers in the bottom. This massive CS advantage attributing to that Bilgewater Cutlass, literally just to a longsword here on the side of Elcan. Cannot trade in this lane currently.
Yeah, that Xayah is so much weaker. It's just been that Elise has been in that lane more. Elise has blown summoners, picked up kills. The one time Juiced Up Brennan tried to gank bot lane, it actually cost him his life. He went down to the Pyke's Ignite. So it's been a bit of a jungle difference that's helped snowball this lane in favor of BNZ. So they're gonna have to keep playing to advance that lead because they can't let it slide.
Juiced Up Brendan is going to be to this top lane first, but Arctic Sands is in hot pursuit. A Wild Terry just has to survive for a little bit longer. Cocoon going to go wide. Will Trespass going to go down, but Teemo goes down first, and Wild Terry going to fall as the Raccoon God has joined the fray. PhD in the mid lane now, a little bit delayed. Double kill going over to Arctic Sands. Going to fall in response. 2-2 now. It's just the mid laners left. The Ray is there, and Cleanse won't save you now. Goes into the little alcove. Gonna dodge away from the slows. Happy feet all the way here for the Raccoon God. Needs to try and get some down. Gravity Field trying to get out now. Hits the slow. PhD in mid lane.
It was almost the outplay. The Raccoon God tried his best. Not able to juke indefinitely, but still, it's a 2 for 3. It comes with... Did it come with a shutdown? Was anyone shut down for the side of BNZ? No, it was just a 2 for 3. It looks like PhD in mid lane gonna pick up a kill. So, not a disaster for BNZ. And while that's happening, the bot lanes are scrapping once again. And though no kills went down in that fight, it did go over to the side of BNZ. Boblas and Ellis able to get the TTT bot lane to recall, and then they're able to pick up plates on the tail end of that. We did see Ellis either miss the ult or not execute. We were looking top lane, but you could hear that come in. So, unfortunate that they weren't able to convert for BNZ, but they are able to get some plates, and that's worth about the value of a kill anyway.
Yeah, Bobla's gonna be able to base. Doesn't quite have that blade that we can get as he's prioritized the Berserker's Greaves, but in a very strong position right now into the 65 CS Alcan. We mentioned this before, but it just keeps increasing as Arctic Sands now invading into the bottom side, maybe looking for the Raccoon God. He has pushed forward, gonna get slowed down as well. This is definitely gonna get knocked up. The Cocoon lands as well. The CC chain is good, and that is secured for PhD in mid lane.
An absolutely perfect gank timing from Arctic Sands. The Raccoon God's flash coming up now, just instants before the kill finally goes down, making sure to take full advantage of that summoner spell.
I'm just watching this topside fight. Exhaust is down for that spellbook, but Arctic Sands roams from the mid to the top lane, and that was a very long extended trade. Showstopper use, Call the Forge Gods use, and all the while just delaying time for Arctic Sands to arrive to the scene.
Yeah, and sad news for Team SEC. Wasn't able to get the Brittle proc before the Showstopper came in. Wasn't able to survive once the Elise Cocoon came in. Arctic Sands kind of trolling a Wild Terry a little bit. Lands a Cocoon, says, I'll give that kill to you. And then says, actually, never mind. I'll take that kill for myself. I landed that Cocoon. I deserve this. Uh-oh.
And lands it onto Juiced Up Brendan into the mid lane. Flash forward for the Raccoon God as they're just looking to track down the Disintegration Wave. Juiced Up Brendan flashes away from the engagement of Arctic Sands. Top lane full, 610 gold, going over to a Wild Terry in the top.
And this is the biggest, earliest lead we've seen so far in this series. We're at 14 minutes, and this is already 5.5k gold in favor of BNZ. It was slowing down for a moment there, but with this sequence of kills, they've picked it right back up. They've picked up the Ocean Dragon, they're picking up turrets. D Grubbers.
Grand Skyfall has to flash away. LS so strong, looking for the skewers all the time, trying to get that lead for Bobas and grow it. As you said, second dragon going down. That's Ocean will have on the Rift. It's going to be Infernal as well. So much damage, so much scaling potential, and that will mitigate some of that if they can just keep securing these. LS goes, tries to get it. Can't quite find it, however. Death from below gets Zonya's Hourglass away from with that stopwatch. Juiced Up Brennan now maybe looking for a little bit extra on the back end, but LS finds a way out.
Yeah, and that's always a good trade for BNZ. Stopwatch is a super powerful defensive tool. An ultimate has a cooldown that resets, a stopwatch does not. That is the only stopwatch D-Grubbers is going to get to use this game, and he does it to avoid getting solo killed by a Pyke. He's out of those pools for now.
Knock up to knock up as well, but Arctic Sands is there to sink the fangs down yet again. Elcan can't quite find anything, uses the feathers, tries to pull them back, but no one is there. LS just waiting patiently. Boblas on the front end of it. Red buff up for grabs if he can find a little bit of a kill. Disintegration Ray in the mid lane means that the Raccoon God, who played so well when he played Victor previously, is 3-0 and 3-3.
Yeah, and just a good wait and sit out of...
More fighting in the top lane. Coleslaw call the full god used, and it's secured by Teemo SCC. He steals the rift away. Showstopper comes down as well. And Wild Terry, he will die for it as bot lane tower falls in the process. Juiced Up Brennan now going to be face checking into LS, but he can just disengage this.
And that is the power of the unsealed spellbook right there. Teemo SEC snags the smite, walks up to the Herald and says, yoink, I'll be having that. Trading his life for that. Actually probably quite worth it given the state of the game. A losing team can lose 2 or even 3 turrets with this big of an advantage, so denying VNZ the opportunity to use the Herald to take an inhibitor even is in the cards for them. A big deal for Teemo SEC. You absolutely are willing to sacrifice your life there. And if you can use that Herald to take a turret as well, it just gets even more increased in value. So good heads up play from Teemo SEC. Great utilization of the unsealed spellbook. You always love to see that when the top laner has Smite 2 just in case. Unfortunate that Terry isn't able to secure the objective. Hard to anticipate the Ornn walking in and smiting the thing that you've been soloing, but something you always have to consider.
Yeah, Teemo SEC actually making a lot of good decisions in the game. We saw that Keeper's Verdict to try and just push that wave in as well. That was nice little plays. A pause does come in so we can really talk about the state of the game. Deathcap almost finished for PhD in mid lane, dealing so much damage on the Spellcores.
Yeah, Deathcap, an interesting early pickup on Vel'Koz because his ultimate allows him to do true damage. AP and just pumping up the AP ratio of that ultimate is really the name of the game for Vel'Koz. He doesn't really need to build penetration as much. So Deathcap a great buy, especially when you're ahead. You go second item Deathcap. He doesn't even have the Sorc shoes yet. Who wants magic penetration? Why not just get more AP? And it's a great idea. He's already one-shotting the Raccoon God. You've seen PhD in mid lane sitting in bushes and using kind of trickery and dark spots on the map to make things happen. It's 4-0. He's finally recovering. We saw him slip in game 2 and have a bad game 3, but now that we're in game 4, he's pulling off.
God. Dodges away from the knock up, and Disintegration Ray is there, and here comes the culling out of Boblas. Secured into the mid lane. Now they can push this lane in again, getting another objective onto the map. They're looking to go onto Juiced Up Brennan as well. They don't not have wave clear here yet. The Zaya's coming back from base, finally fishing that Essence Reaver, going back onto Teemo SEC. Engagement coming out, quickness used. They're looking all for Boblas. Flashes away as well. Umbral Trespass into the back line. LS gonna get secured on there, but PhD in the mid lane secures yet another kill on the top lane. Going forward now, Arctic stands solo in the back end of it, but Boblas secures yet another kill. Flashing health bars on the side as PhD finds yet another skill shot. Elcan goes down yet again to a skewer, and that is absolutely demolishment coming out. BNZ on the up and up, looking for this mid lane, all the while in the bottom. A Wild Terry just pushing down into the Raccoon God.
And I have never seen a Vel'Koz last hit so many kills with a Q. It's just not something you see, but it seemed like every time PhD in mid lane threw out a Q, it split, it found a new target, and it finished them off. Another 2 kills going to that Vel'Koz. The only unfortunate part of that play for BNZ is that Ellis used the ultimate trying to finish off the kill on the Raccoon God there, wasted it there, and missed out on what could have been a monstrous amount of gold. But when you can get an ace and you can get a couple turrets, you absolutely take that as BNZ. This is a more than commanding gold lead. We're north of 10k before we're at 20 minutes. They're up 2 dragons, a third one spawning momentarily, and they are looking to absolutely wrest control of this game. And even At this point, we're looking towards a game 5. There is always that scaling win condition from TTT, but they're going to need a miracle to make it happen. They're just so far behind. They don't even have a turret yet. The Rift Herald actually going to time out momentarily. It's never going to connect with a turret, so despite that denial of the objective, it's not looking too hot for them.
He uses it in the bottom lane, as you said. We'll have to see whether or not that amounts to anything up in the top lane, though. We just see that Essence Reaver to this Executioners and that Blade the Rune King coming up with that BF Sword. So much damage coming out. There's this Death Cat now finished. We mentioned that already. PhD in mid lane. Sniping out with the Void Rifts, with the aggression coming out yet again. Double knock up. This is looking good. The Raccoon God gets the first kill of the fight. Coming down. PhD gets blown up as well. A Wild Terry into the back lane. Comes out. LS gets flashed on by Juiced Up Brennan in the back end of it. And it's all gone Pete Tong on the side of BNZ as TNT find the fight that they wanted.
Oh no! Everything goes wrong for BNZ. It starts with Bobbles getting picked, and then it goes from bad to worse. It's a 4-for-0. How do you lose your entire team when you're winning by 10k gold? This is looking like Baron for Team unless Arctic Sands can pull off a miracle. We've already said that Team has the scaling advantage, and now they're starting to stall out this game. Getting the Baron gives them gold. It denies gold for BNZ, and they get so many shutdowns from that fight. What was greater than 10k gold just 2 minutes ago is now only up to 5. The Ornn is 1 level away from the ornaments, and I was about ready to call the game as done, and all of a sudden, it's just a huge throw from BNZ, and now this game is anything but done. And uh-oh. Well,
Teemo, SCC, face checking into a bush. Cocoon lands. The skewer is there. Back up in the way. Double knock up. But can he survive? No. Death from below secures it for the team. Sharing the gold as well.
can't have too many things go right at once, I guess. You get the Baron, you get the clean fight. Time for Teemo, SCC to just run it down into their own jungle. Needed his team with him for that kind of face check. Should have anticipated BNZ on the map. Of course, there's no objective to take. Dragon's already gone, so that's just going to be 1 kill for BNZ. They're not going to be able to leverage that into anything else. There's no objective to go for, so it stalls out the Baron, but I don't think TTT really wanted to push with this Baron anyway. I think they were quite content to take the Baron and say, well, BNZ doesn't have it, so that's all we need.
Yeah, exactly. Also, lane assignments. Pushing down. PhD in the bottom lane. Doesn't have teleport. Doesn't need it because they've already taken that Baron away. Just stalling this Baron out, though, will be nice. As you said, it's more of a denial away from BNZ at this point. Team need a couple more wins to get back into this game with that soul ever looming.
Yep, the big thing to look out for is that Ornn items are gonna start coming in. The issue, the only Ornn upgrades available right now are on Kayn and Rakan. You'd really, really rather be upgrading your Victor and your Xayah, but because Xayah has the Essence Reaver instead of the Infinity Edge, there's nothing that can be upgraded there. And because Victor doesn't yet have a Rabadon's or a Zhonya's, it looks like it's going to have to be the Zhonya's on Rakan. Not a bad item to upgrade. The amount of armor and AP it gives is a very good one. It's just Rakan, easily the least important member to have stats on for TTT. Not really where you want to be spending your level 15 ornament, but it's really going to be the only way. And Teemo, you need to get yourself in a solo lane and get some XP, buddy. Your Ornn, XP matters. Go for it. Greed.
Yeah, level 12. Going to be able to pick up a lot of this into the bottom lane as long as the Rakan God doesn't have a say about it. Difficult to get that priority in the lane. However, a Wild Terry pushing down top lane, level 13 already on the map. A little bit of a slow pickup. I'm not sure about that rapid fire cannon. Could have been that Infinity Edge, as you said, to upgrade. Also a Phantom Lancer to be able to survive some of the burst coming down on the enemy.
Uh-oh. Ooh, oh, wow, okay.
Skewer coming down. D-Grub has managed to get Grand Entrance out. Does not want to face check this team at all as they are looking for picks on the side of BNZ.
Yeah, not much of a grand entrance so much as it is a grand exit, but Dragon now on the map in 30 seconds, and BNZ looking to pick up this soul. They're posturing aggressively. They have the poke from the Vel'Koz. They have the fishing from the Pike. There's lots of things they can do. As long as they keep the vision denied, this Infernal Dragon is almost impossible for TTT to poke their face into. They're going to need to find someone on the front end of it. And Teemo actually probably could have gone for Ellis there had he not just popped the Blast Cone instead.
As you said, difficult to march down, and they do have Teemo, they do have their face checker as long as he is with the team. Actually picked up this barrier. He does not have flash right now. A little bit careful on that. Nice burst disintegration ray coming out. Raccoon God's got to be very careful with his health bar, if not base. Doesn't have teleporters. He's got that cleanse. We've already mentioned that earlier. Doesn't help you against the Vel'Koz damage as they do turn onto this. They're coming in. Juiced up Brennan tries to go for the steal. Doesn't quite find it. Humble Trespass now down onto Arctic Sands, but just delivered into the enemy team and will fall to Boblas. The back end of it, Showstopper going down onto Teemo. That's the tank, needs to survive. Goes forward onto Elcam, but gets rooted up. All the shielding and healing coming out now, however. Boblas going forward. They're the Rune King down onto Teemo. They're looking for the chase. The Cocoon is good as well for the root. Ellis has to use the feathers, pulls them back, doesn't quite find Boblas for the damage.
And that was actually so close to being what TTT needed. Juiced Up Brennan did get into the Dragon Pit. He did force the 50-50. And if he's able to secure that smite, that fight likely goes differently. Infernal Dragon, with the low health bars that PNZ walked out of the fight with, may have actually made a difference. Instead, Arctic Sands able to secure the Dragon, able to make sure that they don't throw a second time. And now it is the Infernal Soul over to BNZ. The Ornn upgrades are coming in, but the Infernal Soul can offset that pretty effectively. The amount of extra damage more than makes up for the limited amount of added tankiness that Ornn has at this point in time. So BNZ back in the driver's seat. They have the Soul. They can be comfortable. They're in control of this game. Baron's up in 30 seconds. We're back to where we were before. They gave the 4-man kill in the Baron. They can win this game as long as they don't throw, but we've seen them throw once already, so I'm not writing anything off so far.
Exactly. Coastal All Division that was onto the bottom side gets rotated up onto the top side. Juiced Up Brennan so close from landing on that Cocoon as well. Probably would have gone down as that Death from Below there, scaling up with all of this AD items, Edge of Night, and that security of Umbleglaive. You just see 62 ward score. Umbleglaive is so wonderful on support, as you just rack up that ward score, being able to kill those wards instantaneously. Now chasing down to Arctic Sands. This is a good pick here on the side, but manages to get back to the plant. Disengaging into Boblas will fall, however. Goes golden through the process, and it will actually get traded as Juiced Up Brennan falls as well. Ellis now looking for something as well, but Boblas up into the top side. Need to be careful. The Raccoon God has a lot of damage down, marshalling them back with the waves. Here comes the flank coming out for LS and the Wild Terry looking for a pick. Showstopper back in, but it's onto the tank. It's on Teemo. Exhaust down onto Boblas as well. The Raccoon God has to flash away, but it's D Grubbers in the back line going golden. It doesn't matter. He just hasn't engaged for his team in the right way. And unfortunately, it's a root on the side of TNT as BNZ find the fight and they can look to go for Baron if they need.
Yep, Terry and Ellis combining with the flank there. We got the teleport in from the set and the Pike dashing over the wall to get there as well. Able to disrupt the TTT backline, which leaves PhD in midline undisturbed in the BNZ backline instead. So you see the Vel'Koz ult come in. He's interrupted by D Grubbers, but a Vel'Koz 1v1ing a Rakan when the Vel'Koz has a Rabadon's and Infernal Soul 8 kills. The Rakan loses that very, very hard. So it's another one fight for BNZ. Though because of the jungler trade, because of the health bars, they decide not to go for the Baron. It took a little too long. They don't really need to play that risky, so they'll take it slow, take their time, wait to get back on the map, reset with that extra gold, and turn their attention back to Baron once again.
I'm almost surprised that they didn't go for that, actually. There was a double wave stocked up into the mid, or the bottom side. And Teemo and D Grubbers went back down there. Now it's Elcan. So there was a lot of pressure on this bottom lane. They will be able to come back, reset, spend their gold from that team fight as well. So not a bad play. They're going instantly onto it after this reset as well. And with Elcan showing bot lane, that just means it's going to be free over onto the side of BNZ.
Yep, Baron goes down. It is BNZ's game to lose. They have the Soul. They have the Baron. They're about as strong as a team that they, with their composition, can get. They've got massive item leads across the board. This is their game to win. They just need to use the Baron. They need to push in the ways. They've got such an absurd amount of poke with the Vel'Koz and the Infernal Soul. And whoa, there goes Ellis.
Exactly, Ellis just goes down to Juiced Up Brandon. Wonderful pick coming up there. I think I'm a little bit behind the pace of the play, actually. If you called that before I even saw it. Speed up a little bit there.
Well, that does stall out the Baron a little bit. It's just not that clean from BNZ. They've got such a commanding lead, and every time they're in a dominating position, something goes a little wrong. With Elder Dragon in a minute, it looks like they may just say, all right, well, our support died. Let's go play for that instead. And they're keeping it interesting. I gotta tell you, there's always a way for things to go wrong, Gurktor, another 5v5 team fight introduces ways for BNZ to make mistakes.
Well, Kozul, now it is all about this Elder spawning 40 seconds as Juiced Up Brendan going forward yet again, looking for something, but just gets blown up yet again by Arctic Sands. That'll mean that they just have to back away from this territory now. LS back up onto the rift, taking out all of this vision. 84 ward score now. We said that Humble Glaive is just so wonderful, being able to take out all of these wards, and they can just wrestle back control, steal the red buff, and go back to getting that. But in the top, Arctic Sands fall to the Rakon's God's Burst. Can't quite get it with Death in the Sands as well as that.
Whoa!
PhD mid lane now fires back Elkan. So much damage coming out. Couldn't feathers in time. Just couldn't do anything as he just gets melted. And they will now turn out onto this Elder.
Yeah, this is turning into Game of Thrones a little bit. It's a bit of a sloppy mess. We see Juiced Up Brennan basically just inting, going in 1v2. His team's too far behind him. Dies before he can get the ultimate off. Super unfortunate for him. And then Arctic Sands, blowing up as well, and then it's Elkan blowing up. People just dropping left and right. We've got so much damage in this game. Everyone's at risk of dying immediately. They just get popped. But that is the Elder Dragon over to BNZ. Elder Dragon and Infernal Soul is a nasty combination. All you need to do is land a poke or two, and that's a kill, so...
What is with teams and not actually getting upgrades for Ornn right now? We've only got that of Sivian Cleaver. We have the AD carry, not finished that IE yet. Finishing on a dagger as well, so I don't even know if he's going Stormrazor next item. Wonder what that'll turn into. But the mid laner as well, going for that Banshee's Veil third items mean that there's no upgrade there either, as he's elected to go for that Lichbane second.
Yeah, and the issue is as well is that Horn's just not getting levels right now. It's been so much fighting and not so much pushing in the side lanes that Team SCC actually hasn't really been able to power up. The Rakan has been the next person to get upgraded for an item for a very long time, and it just hasn't come through. Team SCC needs to get some more ways, but even then it won't really matter because there are no upgradable items that are impactful on TTT. I think it's going to come a little too late in a game like this. BNZ now finally pushing up towards the base. They have the Elder Dragon. It's going to last for a little while longer. And finally, they're cracking the base. They're getting the inhibitor turret. They're doing something.
BNZ are pushing down mid lane, exactly. They're not able to trade for it. Big wave pushed into the top, so it's all about these bottom two waves now. The control. Wild Terry does not fear this bottom lane. Ornn, as you said, level 14 to level 17 here for Wild Terry. Joe Strong didn't even need to go Blade the Rune King this build. He didn't even need it because they have team fought so much. It hasn't been about that side lane 1v1. It's been more about these team fights, these team picks, what PhD in mid lane can get done with this spell because it's just doing so much damage. How many cocoons can land? How many people can get blown up around the rift? As the culling comes down, traded for the Chaos Storm, which will track down PhD in mid lane, ticking away, but it's not enough damage right now. He does not have the death cap. That is a big cooldown to be used. We do still have that Infernal as a root comes down to Bobless. Maybe that calls for the Forge God. And it's going to get enough. There's a Wild Terry into the front line. Can Showstopper forward as well, but in the bottom lane, PhD in mid lane gets the pick. Now they're going forward. Arctic Sands going to go golden. Means that the Death from below can come down, secure one kill. Can he get the knock-up? Can he get the reset onto Raccoon God? He goes for it. Can't quite get the damage. Elkan can now trade back into it. And the front line is gone as Elkan and the Raccoon God rescue their base.
Yeah, and so BNZ, they're gonna have to reset. They're not able to close out the game with the Elder Dragon. They do get 2 inhibitors, they do get 1 extra kill, but as this game goes on, individual champion gold is going to matter less and less. It becomes a smaller percentage of the total gold earned in the game, and execution is going to start to matter more. The Elder Dragon is off the map. TTT still scaling. They're still holding on. They're bending, but they're not breaking yet. They're trying their best. Baron is coming up yet again. It's the third Baron that's going to go down this game. With Super Minions pushing into TTT's base, it's going to be hard for them to contest, but they are pinging like they want to. We're going to have to see how things go here. This could be the game decider.
Yeah, blue buff and red buff going over respectively to the solo laner for PhD in mid lane. Played a really good Vel'Koz game, 11-1-6. Just has so much cadence on the map right now. Reset here as Baron does go down. That will be lasting a while. Elder, the second Elder, now spawning in 2 minutes as well. They have a lot of work to do. They can go down to that top lane that doesn't have that inhibitor. They can look to play around this Elder as well with this push of that Baron and the minions forward.
And so while BNZ is doing that, there's always a few things to look out for in TTT. We have a Rabadon's Death Crown on this Victor. That Victor has 876 AP. He will be able to one-shot anyone he's able to blow his combo on. The Raccoon God going to be a way back into this game. He just needs to use his abilities wisely, hold them for the right targets. There's hope. There's that outplay potential. This isn't totally lost. They may be against a team that has Infernal Soul in their second Baron of the game, but I wouldn't write TTT off just yet.
I think you're right, Core School. Exactly. With these now upgrades coming in, that means that the gold is pretty, even though there is a 10k deficiency, it only does feel about that 5k. Raccoon Gold can hit so hard. Team SCC has that tank power. Hasn't finished that third item as a culling comes down onto the Raccoon Gold, just dissuading him from popping that on the right target. A Wild Terry now coming down. Showstopper into the backline looking for the Raccoon God. He needs a little bit of backup, but he's so tanky. He gets knocked up yet again. The feathers fly, and Elkan tries to push him back. Juiced up Brennan on the front line. Does burn down as well. Disintegration Ray comes back in. The re-engagement is good. Double knock-up. Arctic Sand's gonna fall in retrospect. Here comes the damage from the Raccoon God as he secured a double kill over to the early engage coming down. What can he do? He needs more backup. The 4-man strong unit. He's going aggressive onto a Wild Terry. Slows him down. It's all about the Raccoon God and what he can do with this push.
And it's not over. The game has not yet ended. Juiced Up Brennan, the first one to go down in that fight, but Ellis and Arctic Sands found themselves a little too deep. They just were just too far in. Elkan pumping out tons and tons of damage. Raccoon God doing the same, and they're actually able to trade 4 for 3. Elder Dragon is on the map, and
Chaos Storm is down on PhD in mid lane, forces him to go golden, but it's not going to matter. No one's there to back him up. He's gonna fall. That means potentially Elder could be taken here for team.
This game is not over, Ruktor. It keeps going. TTT keep bending and bending, but they refuse to go down. They're getting the Elder Dragon. Set's teleporting in to end the game. What is going on?
Into end the game. Gonna go down exactly. Secured. Death from below. Finds one. Finds two. Big resets there, but it's all about Wild Terry trying to end the game. No one's back in base. Bobclass finds a little bit of damage going forward, but it's a Wild Terry in the base, TPing away, and they will secure it. It will go to a game number 5 here for Team versus Boomers and Zoomers.
I am on the edge of my seat. That game was a nail biter. That was so close. It looked for just a moment like Team was going to get some kills, get the Elder Dragon, and they were going to be right back in it. But a Wild Terry sees the Super Minions in the base, sees the opportunity to teleport. He takes the TP. He goes into the base. He closes out the game that was beginning to slip through their hands. And despite TTT's best efforts to mount the amazing comeback, they fall just short, and we are going to Game 5.
Yeah, silver scrapes all the way here, Coleslaw. A long road for both of these teams, neck and neck in groups. Two owing their opponents in quarterfinals, and now in the semis, taking it to game fives. Very little to draw apart from these teams. They made a lot of iterations as this series has gone on as well. The Elise has been a strong pick, won a lot of games now as well. So having that urgency, we haven't seen Elise in a while as well. All coming up and showing face, but it's been a while. Terry on this set played an amazing round all the way through. PhD in the mid lane, a lot of agency on this Vel'Koz. We'll be right back with game number 5 here at the Dominate Premade semifinals. Looking forward to it. Hello and welcome back to game number 5 of the Dominate Premade semi-finals here at Risen Esports. My name is Richter and casting with me this evening is Coastal.
Yep, welcome to Game 5. The truest test of a team's mental, the truest test of your ability to perform, your ability to bounce back from defeat, to overcome adversity, to maybe not throw the game when you have a 10k gold lead at 19 minutes. And, close out the series. Both teams on the precipice of advancing to the finals. It's up to them to do it. We've already got some interesting parts of draft that are different than any we've seen so far. Senna made it through bans for the first time this series, and that is immediately snagged up by B&Z.
That was instantly, no hesitation. Senna is our pick, probably paired with the Morgana there in the bottom lane, although it can be played mid lane, even got jungle buffs as well, but I doubt we'll see anything of that nature. Elise yet again picked up Set. Elise, we said were going to be the sort of staples of the series, and they really have been. Lee Sin going back there for BNZ, looking to potentially pick this up and away. I love the center. Had a little bit of a knockback with the nerfs, but you can still really get a lot of cadence with that, and you need that aggressive support to be able to punish that, and Morgana really mitigates aggressive supports.
Yeah, Morgana does a great job with the Black Shield to keep Senna safe. Of course, you have the Shroud as well from Senna to get into untargetable mode. When you're untargetable and you're Black Shielded, nothing can stop you. You just run away. TTT, I think, wisely taking the Ezreal as an answer to that. You don't really want to try and fight Senna Morgana. That's a scary lane with a lot of ways for things to go wrong. So just pick something safe, pick something that can sit back with mobility. It gives the outplay potential. You can always arcane shift over the Dark Binding or over that route from Senna to try to get yourself into their faces. If they use those tools proactively, you can answer by just saying, okay, well, you're out of defense options, so I'm going in. And that can make that lane a little interesting. Of course, Set and Elise gonna go over. I believe this is actually our first set game for Teemo SEC. It's always been Terry on it, if I'm not mistaken. So the fact that it's gone over to TTT, it's time for Teemo to show a Wild Terry how it's done.
Yeah, it is the bar pickup. I'm interested to see that Tarek ban. Obviously, that Cosmic Radiance really nice in team fights. But Morgana and Senna would have such a free lane into a Tarek Ezreal that it wouldn't really matter too much, I don't think. So they do go with the Bard. Long range Xerath hovered over there as well. A lot of cadence with this pick up as well. Looking forward to seeing how PhD in the mid lane played that Vel'Koz, was banned out against him, but he's got another long range poke champ with this Xerath.
Yeah, to put it bluntly, PhD in mid lane had an issue of going a little too ham in games 2 and 3, the ones that B&Z lost. On the Cassiopeia and the Talia, we saw PhD in mid lane just going in with little to no regard for his own well-being and dying a whole lot because of it. So picking up a Xerath to force him to play back, force him to kind of consider, and you don't go in on Xerath, you just poke and chase when you have the opportunity, and make sure that that won't happen. And I think that's a good adaptation. PhD in mid lane just wasn't feeling it. I don't know. It's sometimes you try and pick a champion on a given day and you're just not playing it well, you're not positioning properly, so you try and adjust. And I think going towards these artillery mages is a fantastic adjustment to try and fix the way that the play was going, and that's going to make things a lot more different. We see the Akali locked in, that is Orianna, so do not consider that an Akali.
Yeah, the Raccoon God has played a fair amount of melee champions. I was actually almost excited to see that Akali locked in, but it will be that Orianna. Also very dangerous to play an Akali into a Xerath. You can get zoned off a lot of minions early until you get that power spike of that Gunblade and look to go in aggressively. But it will be that Orianna, so shockwaves coming through thick, fast, and aplenty. Xerath can really trade quite nicely into Orianna, does have that range advantage, so we'll see how that goes. I'm interested on this Jax picks though. Really nice trading potential when you're trying to match that up into a set that they know that matchup's going to come out, with showing that Elise in the jungle position. But maybe something slightly more tankier, more like that Ornn might be beneficial to allow Senna to slowly deal damage in teamfights, because it will be explosive with the side of Jax and Lee Sin.
Yeah, I mean, Ornn is a good pick there, but We've seen 2 games in a row there where the team that prioritizes Ornn ends up losing the game. So it might just be a mid-series adaptation where you say, like, these games are getting decided in the first 15 or 20 minutes for the most part. Like, we could pick a scaling pick and try and sit back, but that's not really been working for either team. So how about we pick something that's actually going to have some agency? How about we pick something that can do some damage, trade aggressively, and just see what happens. We haven't seen TTT on the set. It's quite likely that Terry had the Jax pegged as the counter to it for this series, and it's finally coming out in Game 5, so a spicy pick that we get to see here.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of Shyvana in the quarterfinals on the side of Boomers and Zoomers. Going forward onto this Jax, though, is an interesting pickup. We'll have to see if he can get that Trinity Force spike onto set and really trade aggressively. As you said, getting that agency up into the top side. Lee Sin for Arctic Sands as well. Just going to be marshalling around the map, trying to get his lasers ahead. Juiced Up Running going to have to mirror him respectively as well. Early game junglers, what can they do yet again for this 2v2 in the mid lane? Xerath and Orianna and Elise Lee Sin.
Yeah, so Orianna likes setting up ganks against Xerath. The Shockwave is a big deal. It can really pull Xerath out of where he wants to be, keeps him stuck in place for a moment once the Shockwave lands for Elise to combo off that with a Cocoon. But the same could be said about the Xerath stun, about a Lee Sin kick. I think both junglers want to have a field day against these immobile champions in mid lane. Orianna a little bit safer as far as being gank goes, but Xerath gets to sit farther back. He gets to sit in the mid-late game with a Morgana shielding him and making sure that he's actually safe. Black Shield going to be a very useful tool into something like Elise or something like Bard. But the one thing we haven't addressed is the fact that you say it's a 2v2 mid lane, but with a Bard picked up, it really can turn into something like a 3v2, with Ezreal safely able to 1v2 in bot lane as long as he doesn't get hit by anything too big. Bard can leave, and Bard can exert some pressure on the mid lane as well, try and punish the Xerath. The issue is that Xerath is so safe, plays so far back, that even if Bard does get in with a portal and surprise that Xerath, he just may be too far back to die, and PhD in mid lane going to need to play like he's got 2 people in his lane around the clock. If he's able to do so, I think you see the Xerath making this Bard pick a little negated almost. And the same goes for Jax shutting down this set.
Yeah, we'll have to see how PhD in mid lane plays on the Xerath. He has played quite aggressive, but Xerath definitely known for just sitting backwards, clearing waves, looking for picks onto the Raccoon God's Orianna. I like the Bard pick as well, because if Ezreal can just farm safety, it means that you can't get a lot of soul stacking there on the side. We'll have to see if this is found in Senna. Generally it is. That means Morgana will be getting to that early power spike, potentially for that Zhonya's Hourglass. Looking forward on that pick. But the Bard roaming D-Grubbers definitely has the potential to do that with all these magical journeys around, allowing for Juiced Up Brendan to really get around the map as well, and they can look for 3-man dives potentially into top and mid. As long as Alcan can play safe, do have to be aware that the Senna and Morgana range, if a binding does land, you can really have a bad time in bottom.
Yeah, that's really the thing to look out for. I agree. Is a binding spells certain doom because there's just so much CC, and if one binding lands, it means there's no minions in the way. It means the other CC is going to come down right after, and you're just going to be rooted for an eternity. You may as well take a nap if Senna or Morgana land a root onto you, because that's it. That's just lights out. So it does require playing around it. I think, once again, though, this is a game where the junglers want to snowball. We see this Elise Lee Sin matchup once again. Both these teams really like winning the game harder. B&Z has a bit more scaling to their name with Senna and Jax. Both these champions really like ramping into the late game, but they also really don't want to get too far behind. Jax very useless if he cannot win the early game or at least go even. And Senna very vulnerable if she isn't collecting souls. She doesn't have time to sit back and farm. She doesn't have time to kind of ramp up into her passive.
Yeah, well, all the chips and biscuits on the line for both of these team versus Boomers and Zoomers. Effectively a best of one. They've had a grueling 4 hours, but we're going into a 5th now. We'll be right back for game number 5 for the Dominate Premade semi-finals here at Risen Esports. Hello and welcome back to Silver Scrapes between Team and Boomers and Zoomers at the Dominate Premade Semifinals for Risen Esports. Looking forward to getting into this one. Team looking for a little bit of a play topside, maybe.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fake outs and bait and switches at level 1. For the first time this series, it looks like something is actually going to happen.
Juiced up bait.
Oh.
Juiced up runner was baiting it. Doesn't quite find the stun. Yeah, they do, but it's in the bush. They have to ward it out. Means that you get that safeguard away and Arctic Sand survives.
Yeah, unfortunately, Juiced Up Brennan actually starting with the W instead of the E. Had he taken the Cocoon instead of the Spiderling, maybe there's some follow-up, maybe there's an opportunity to blow a Summoner, but W, very crucial for Elise. You need the Spiderling so that you get the attack speed when you start your camp in Spider form. Not going to risk blowing a Cocoon for nothing level 1 and setting himself behind in the early jungle. So nothing coming out of that.
Exactly. Also, starting your safeguard for Arctic Sands, no big issue. He can just lifesteal that up as well, so that's not too bad for him.
Yep, I'm trying to look. I don't see any too interesting rune decisions. There's the double glacial coming out of the B and Z bot lane. Boblas and Ellis both looking to lay down the slows. Standard-ish on both champions. Morgana support, normally not a huge glacial pickup because it's hard to afford a GLP or a Twin Shadows when you're also kind of crucially trying to pick up a Zanya's on that champion, but it can work. It can help you set up, and with both those champions laying down the slows, it's going to be very hard to get away from them. It's a good way to try and punish the fact that Bard likely wants to be roaming, and make sure that Ezreal has to play even safer than he otherwise would, because he just can't put on the jukes if he's slowed.
Yeah, big thing I can see is that Alcan does have that cleanse. Also, because LS is going to be farming this wave, starting with that Durin's Ring means that they're going to have to keep pushing out. You're also going to put points into Tormented Soil, which means that you're not really going to be able to get that onto Alcan if you can save it, because you've got to use that to lane. You've got to use that for wave clear as well.
Yeah, so Morgana farming is actually kind of terrifying. If you've ever played against Morgana mid, you know the power of a farmed Morgana. Working in the bot lane is going to be close to as potent as that.
Oh, here comes the bot lane though. Nice Black Shield onto LS, gets him away from safety. Bublas gets the root down onto Juiced Up Brennan as well. But Juiced Up Brennan in the bottom lane.
Yeah, so that's actually a flash for the Senna and a flash for the Bard. We see Pablo's pinging the Elise flash, but it is not burned there. They're going to say Elise has no flash, and she actually does have it, so that may come to bite BNZ in the butt. We'll see how that goes. But still, flash for flash isn't too bad. Senna very vulnerable as an immobile champion, though the Black Shield's going to help keep her alive, as we saw during that gank.
Yeah, Juiced Up Brennan walking all the way up into mid lane, going from bot to mid, really trying to get the early game going. Arctic Sands, however, just going to be early on the scuttle. Now means he can collapse onto that top side, though. Teemo on this set has the wave paused in a nice space. Difficult to gank him at the moment, means that he's going to invade into the jungle.
Yep. It's the same story as before. You'd rather be ganking than invading, but worst case scenario, you will go ahead and take some camps and extra experience. With Elise farming from bot to top, she's going to find her Krugs are gone when she wants to take them. It's a bit of a sad moment. But it's good from Teemo to know that Elise showed bot, Lee Sin might be top. Make sure not to push up too far, but
Oh.
then he pushes up
Some
too
good
far.
game
As soon
timing,
as
has
I
to
say
flash away, but Arctic Sands is there, flashes down, waiting for that shield to go, can't quite find the end of the resonating strike.
Yeah, very well played by Teemo to use that at the last possible second, get that big shield, try and bait Arctic Sands almost to go in on that dive. That could have been over eager.
Yeah, Haymaker, but in the bottom lane, First Blood goes over to Elcan. Boblaz had that barrier, doesn't matter. Arctic Sands, the flash is down. Teemo, massive Haymaker, forces the flash out of Terry, but he gets the healing.
I think that turret shot actually dropped as well. The flash, it looked like the turret was about to hit him, but Terry flashed out in the nick of time, denied that turret shot, kept himself alive, and so Teemo gonna go down. It's just a moment after First Blood goes down in the bot lane, so it's a good one-for-one trade across the map, but it's going to be lopsided. No dragon goes down. Herald not up yet. Just going to be a kill on the Ezreal and a kill on the Lee Sin. And if I am TTT, I'll take that trade any day of the week. I'd rather have my Ezreal getting fed, and I'm fine with Lee Sin getting kills. Lee Sin with kills, hardly a threat as far as mid and late game goes. Stats just don't do a whole lot for him. He'll do a little more damage, but unless you've decided to go lethality Lee Sin, gold isn't that important on that champion.
Yeah, getting that early tier, really nice for Elcan as well. And if he does have a lead, that allows D-Grubbers to really roam around the map as well. We'll see how that goes out for him, looking for this Blade of the Rune King start for a while. Terry strapping down onto that Vampiric Scepter. Has a Waif in a nice spot. Now that he can freeze it up into the top lane, maybe Arctic Sands can punish Teemo STC yet again, who's already going for a ward. Has that pink down. Terry just trading into the minions, just waiting here into the waiting arms. Here comes Arctic Sands into the top lane yet again. Level 6, a Showstopper is available if he can get out. Showstopper down onto Arctic Sands. A Wild Terry now onto the chase, looking for the slow. Wild Terry needs to get the jump. Does manage to secure it, and there goes the mace. Up into the mid, forces the flash out of PGG, but it doesn't matter because the fangs are in and the cocoon was good and juiced up Brennan. Fights back in the mids.
And as we said, this mid lane, it's not a 2v2, it's a 3v2. The Bard is going to be there as well, and that's the difference maker on that gank. It's another one-for-one. Teemo gets set further behind, but at the same time, TTT picking up kills yet again. They're keeping themselves afloat. Every time Arctic Sands does something, they're answering back with their own proactive play. And this time, the difference maker is that they're going to get the dragon. Looks like Arctic Sands is maybe looking for another dive. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, has that flame breath, has that level 6 on the Lee Sin. Teemo is aware that he's around into the top side as he's wooded so defensively. He's used up Brennan can invade, isn't quite level 6. Now the wave is crashing back, they're just defending it. Teemo gets a little bit of respite in the top lane.
Yep, so there is a gold differential
down
in
to the bottom. Oh, here we go. Arcane shift forward. Juiced up Brennan is there. Lands the cocoon. Black Shield's already been used, and S will fall.
Wow.
Going back onto Bodless, forces the flash out yet again.
And that's a gank right through the Black Shield, right through Senna Flash, Senna Barrier. It's the Morgana that's flashless, and Elise has enough magic damage to pop the Black Shield before throwing out that cocoon. Really well played by Juiced Up Brennan. And another kill going over to the side of TTT. This Elise is putting in work this game. It's been all between the bot and middle side of the map, but it's working out for them. This Ezreal getting ahead actually has double Senna's gold at this point. Senna not able to farm because she's got that support item. Going to be a little bit behind. And now, a lull. If you were listening to an LCS cast, they would call this a lull state, and then the chat would all spam lull.
A little bit. Here we go. Shockwave into the mid. PH, but here we go. D-Grubbers into the mid. Teemo SEC on the horizon yet again. Showstopper into the mid. Goes down to the Raccoon Gods.
Well played by Teemo, deciding, all right, I've been camped top lane. I'm just going to go gank another lane myself. My jungler's not showing up. I'm the jungler now. Ganking mid lane, making PhD in mid lane sad, picking up some plates. A really good play to make sure he doesn't get too far behind in this game. Even when losing lane, you can go make sure to get your team ahead. And that's a big deal for TTT because now PhD in mid lane in trouble, losing some serious farm.
Yeah, Rift is down really nice. True shot barrage over into the top lane. Teemo SEC gets kicked back into the waiting arms. The stun comes down, but Teemo SEC secures it onto Arctic Sands.
That is a disaster for BNZ. They have the Herald, they have the 2v1, and Arctic Sands just misplays it, doesn't respect the set damage, goes for the kick, but doesn't get out of there. And Teemo SEC saying, hey, you may have killed me twice, it's time for my revenge. Landing the Haymaker, and Arctic Sands goes down. Teemo SEC picks up a blue buff for his trouble, and now he's right back in this game. An assist on mid, a kill on top. He's able to farm after that. This is going very well for TTT. The one lane that was struggling suddenly given a gift by Arctic Sands, and now everything's working out for them.
Just up, Brennan misses the cocoon in mid. Shockwave is available, but Arctic Sands is there. Raccoon God gonna go down. Shockwave doesn't even get procced. PhD in the mid lane.
Yeah, very, very close. Almost got the ult off. It's the cocoon that misses, and because the Raccoon God is playing like Juiced Up Brennan is there, he's pushed up, he's vulnerable, and the Elise can't get over the wall to save him from the Lee Sin in time, especially with the cocoon on cooldown.
Counter-Strike already used. Nice little bit of a Warhop to get under tab, but they can dive this with the Repel if they want to. While Terry manages to get out. So much action happening on the Rift right now. Scuttle up as well. Arctic Sands going to be able to secure that. They have their mid laner resetting. However, that means that Juiced Up Brennan has to be a little bit careful if he gets caught up in the river.
Another fight. Here comes the Seraph ult.
Juiced Up Brennan, the showstopper goes forward. Kick back as well. Teemo's still alive. A Wild Terry is solo on a center of health into the waiting arms of the Raccoon God. Shockwave is available if he can pinch them in. They decide against it.
Yeah, so it's a play that looks good for BNZ. They're up in the top lane. They're trying their best. They've got the Elise on the ropes, and just a little too ham again. Arctic Sands gets himself in trouble. A Wild Terry takes a little too much damage on the way out. The Raccoon God just waiting for it. Good rotation on that play, seeing that BNZ was going up towards top lane, making sure to be there in case things went wrong, and he is able to clean up. Wow, that Ezreal poke is massive.
Yeah, 2-0-1, so strong right now, just scaling up. You saw that by landing, but it didn't really matter if you don't have the damage to back up the fact that you've landed that CC. As he finds another little poke back into Bob Blast, forcing out more healing. Gonna be able to get back as well, but Elkan looking very strong on this Ezreal.
We've got a big trade going down in top lane. Teemo has the minion wave. He's just not fighting Terry inside it. I think Set might actually be able to pull out a win in that fight, but you don't want to fight a Jax when his ult is available or ult is active, and that's the difference maker there. So many free resistances for Jax, especially when he's building AD that converts directly into armor.
Yeah, 45 armor at this point in the game, not to be laughed at, but with that true damage of the Haymaker, it does mean that Teemo SEC already roamed down to this mid lane, could be looking for it yet again. Just being able to put the farm, heal up in this lane. Now has the roam down to the bottom. This rift is happening, but it's the dive bot lane coming out. The stun's down onto LS, and he will fall. The Juiced Up Brennan down into the bottom lane. That means that they can rotate to this dragon, but the Raccoon God is solo. Arctic Sand looks for it, but it doesn't matter. The Ride of the Arcane finds its mark. Elkan falling yet again for the Ride of the Arcane. Massive plays coming out of PhD in mid lane.
That is the most value I've ever seen from a Rite of the Arcane. He uses it to first kill the Raccoon God who's getting away from Arctic Sands, and then uses it to clean up the bot lane fight that broke out when Elkan gets rooted up and is super low. PhD in mid lane hitting 3 out of 3 and getting 2 kills for his trouble, turning that from a good play for TTT into a bad one, making sure that despite the kill that goes down bot lane on the gank, BNZ come out on top, and they don't lose the dragon, even more crucially. Despite that, we see Juiced Up Brennan. He has no team on the map, and he's in the dragon pit by himself. Risky way to live your life, but backing off now that BNZ show up on the map.
BNZ have the control around the river. True Shot Barrage maybe could have been used to steal, but it says no. A little bit of a stack check for the souls coming out. 39 now picked up. Needs that 40 mark, needs that 80, 100. That is where you really get into the run with the center. But currently 3 and 1 and 1 with that Sheen. Going to be doing so much damage with these Mystic shots.
Yeah, and this is a game where I believe that Ezreal actually can afford to go Trinity Force. You really want to have a lot of damage into something like Xerath, Senna, Morgana. Armor not really doing you a whole lot into two heavy magic damage threats of Morg and Xerath. So you may as well say, screw it, like, I'll just try and kill them instead. He's got the Sheen, he's got a longsword. I'm not sure what that second longsword's for, but still, this Ezreal going to be hurting, going to be going a more aggressive build than we saw earlier in Game 3. So keep an eye on Elcan. We know that his Ezreal is strong. We've seen him land tons of poke. And this is something that BNZ is going to have to watch out for because he can be slippery as well.
PhD in mid lane has cashed in on these kills and is hitting like a truck, but does get cocooned up. D Grubbers is there as well, but LS is on the roam. They shut down Grubbers, and now Juiced Up Brennan trying to dodge away Happy Feet, but it's not going to work. He is zoning in with these rights to the arcane.
Yeah, this is just PhD in mid lane showing off that maybe he's a PhD in artillery mages specifically because he is hitting everything. He's missing nothing. It's just barrage after barrage. Anytime anyone shows up near him, it seems like every skill shot is magnetic. And with so much damage going down, we see Juiced Up Brennan getting chunked out and D Growers dying for trying to save his jungler. They were in that together and they went down together. TTT slipping away. They are now down 2k gold. One dragon. This game slightly in favor of BNZ, but still pretty wide open.
Yeah, exactly. We need this little bit of a lull coming out of Ezreal right now as you're stacking up that mirror mana. Means that we do have that gold lead for him, but he needs to translate that into something because they are running away with it. Lay the Rune King now finished. Ninja Tabai as well. A Wild Terry can definitely trade into Teemo SEC. Another blue buff going to get traded over to PhD in mid lane. He's going to be able to base. He's going to be able to reset. He's on 1,500 gold, so he can finish another item or get those Stalk Penetration boots.
Yeah, that's just in the future. That's not an ideal blue handoff because basing right after you take the buff means you're killing a lot of time of the buff. If you're in the lead, you're not at risk of losing your buff. You usually want to try and make that handoff happen when the Xerath is walking back to lane. That way you're not wasting time on the buff. But either way, it's still good. This Xerath is huge. He picks up another needlessly large rod. He's going to show up in lane with a blue buff, and he's going to start sieging, I believe, with the Senna and the Morgana now showing up to help out. And the Rift Herald going down. This is BNZ saying, we're taking your mid turret. Here we come.
Yeah, we talked about a poke comp with that Ezreal, but how about a Xerath and a Senna slowly scaling up? Binds left, right, and center. So much range potential for the side of BNZ as the Rift Herald's been prop mid, chunking down turret shots as well. Few more autos right to the Arcane coming down. D-Gubbers on the line of fire. Has to use his Happy Feet. Has to try and play the way. Does manage to do so. Now needs to run for his life as he used a magical journey just away. But the aggression coming out of BNZ, they want another tower. They're looking for more push in the mid.
Yeah, that was a really good siege defense out of TTT. The Tempered Fate actually completely stopping the Herald bomb.
Dive onto Elcan, traded flash for that cleanse, but Elcan will fall in the bottom side as well. Nice tower dive complete there for Wild Terry.
Wow, Juiced Up Brennan nearly going down to just 2 spells from that Xerath. That is a farmed Xerath, and that is some serious damage going down onto that Elise. Juiced Up Brennan went the Ninja Tabai, which means that every time Xerath connects, that is a 0 MR Elise, and that is just ridiculous damage going down onto that Spider. The play going down bot lane means that that's a trade of turrets. Teemo SCC was top lane that entire siege sequence, pushing in the wave, getting that turret. The issue, is that Elcan isn't able to hold on to the 1v1 versus a Wild Terry, and a Wild Terry knew he had that dive, went right for it, blasted that Ezreal apart, able to get the turret as well. So it is a 1-for-1 on turrets. The mid turret goes down first. The lead for B&Z grows just a little bit. They've got the Senna scaling now. She's picking up these souls. We see her with 189 AD and 54 souls at 19.5 minutes. Not an amazing pace, but certainly good enough to get there. So B&Z comfortable, going to try to extend this lead. The dragon is up. We're likely going to see a dragon fight. And this is where they're going to try and cash in on that lead and grow it a whole lot more.
Yeah, these delayed ARAM style is fantastic for just picking up stacks in the mid lane. They are now rotating over to this dragon. Nice little bit of a poke there for Elcan, but he has to arcane shift defensively. That means that they've lost priority over to that middle wave. We've also seen a Wild Terry. He tries to dive at you with that Grandmaster's Might. Traded for that Showstopper into the top lane as well. He can heal up though. He's got a little bit of life still if he needs to.
Oh, the dragon.
Over into the bottom lane. It's gone over to team. Forward on the Ezreal, trying to get back now. Defensively, Elses going forward. Arctic Sands as well, looking for a little bit extra onto Elcan. Can find it there as well. Teleport coming out of the Raccoon God just to get out of there. But Dragon was secured over to team, but they lose the fight.
Yeah, it's so hard to get away from B&Z. Once a fight starts going wrong, with the Senna ultimate, the Xerath ultimate, just Dawning Shadow and Right of the Arcane, sending artillery blasts from a mile and a half away.
Up into the top lane. Actually gonna fall there for Teemo SEC. Has that Showstopper. Can't quite find that lifesteal with the Blade of the Rune King in response.
Again, nothing can just go completely right. It always has to go a little wrong. Anytime anything good happens, it's like, oh, we lose the dragon. Oh, we win the fight. Oh, we lose our top laner, you know? It's just back and forth. This game is on a nice edge. It's always a balancing act. One team can't quite pull ahead of the other. Every good play that's made on one side of the map is answered by a good play from the other team on the other side, and it's keeping this close. It is a 4K gold lead on the tail of those kills around Dragon. It is just so hard to get away from that artillery barrage, but if they can find the fight, if they can find a tempered fate, TTT can win a fight relatively easily. They just need to get the right combo.
Yeah, exactly. But they are stacking so much armor on the side of team. But it's this death cap that I'm looking at for PhD in mid lane. Looking so strong on this Xerath. Finding these Right of the Arcane as well. And once you get a lead on this, you can almost one-shot someone with this ability if you can land all of it.
Yeah, that Xerath is a absolute monster. It's so good that he has those 4 kills, even despite the fact that he's down almost. Well, it's only like 12 CS actually. I was gonna say 20, but I'm bad at math because it's late at night and I've been casting a best of 5. He's down a bit of CS, but he's up those 2 kills, which means his build path is ahead of the Oriana's, and that's going to mean he's just putting out way more damage.
A Wild Terry into the bottom lane, procs that Grandmaster's Might, gets him very low, but that is ultimate, and Showstopper has been used. Finish that Triforce as well, just trying to trade aggressively. A Wild Terry definitely stretching the limits of what Jax can do in the side lane.
Yeah, and you're going to see Jax winning this 1v1 harder and harder. He's able to run down the set with some cooldown reduction. Cleaver instead of Triforce, an interesting pickup for Jax. Triforce, stereotypically the more core item. It does give attack speed, which you desperately... Wow, that's a flash. It does give attack speed, which you want, but when you already have Blade of the Ruin King, you have the attack speed that you mostly need, and you can afford to go with something like Cleaver.
And it's looking for a pick on to what comes down and crashes down. Brennan falls to the Morgana. LS finds a kill.
And where's the Tempered Fate in that play? We saw B&Z grouped up. They were pushed in together, and D Grubber is just holding on to it, not using that ultimate. It could have set up a combo for sure. Instead, it's just going to be Juiced Up Brennan going down, and B&Z turned their attention to the Baron. They've killed the jungler. Set is going back to base. Ezreal is in Fountain. This is going to be very, very tough for TTT to contest. It's all up to D Grubbers and the Raccoon God. They are here 2v4.
Here's a teleport as well. Teemo SEC comes into it, but just gets binded up immediately into a Black Shield of LS. Now Arctic Sands goes back in, instantly jumps back out. However, D Grubbers Another buy lands onto the 4-man stack here as they have been routed away from the Baron, so it has been stalled on the side of BNZ. Team look for a stun up onto a Wild Terry. Black Shield a little bit late. Timo diving now under the tower. LS goes golden. What can he find? Showstopper comes out into that. Doesn't matter. The tower goes down and Team find a breath of life in the mid lane.
Yeah, excellent Baron defense from Team. Their jungler's dead. They play it right. The Tempered Fate comes in. The threat of the Shockwave on a team clumped up in Baron Pit is a little too great. And BNZ forced to back out, and then they go separate ways, and it allows Team to chase down the two that go to mid lane. They force out a flash from a Wild Terry. They force a kill onto Ellis. They're able to take down 2 turrets as part of that play, and the gold lead shrinks right back down to being only 1-2K. This is a close game, and oh no.
By Coleslaw. They were setting up a death push down to the bottom for this 12-second spawning dragon, but it's all about this Baron right now for the side of BNZ as they teleport in with their Jax. They're rushing it down. AK, this is definitely going to have to be something. D-Gubbers is holding the line. Juiced up, Brennan knows it as well. Cocoon going to go wide there off the Baron already, but now they're on opposite sides of the maps. They need to contribute something. Timo FCC goes solo. He can't really re-enter now, and they do have presence to be able to go to the bot side, look for this dragon.
Yeah, so that's the issue with having this Senna ADC. Though Jax does put out a lot of damage, you're used to having a crit AD carry who can do serious damage to the Baron, and it's just a little slow. But when Team looks towards the dragon, you can see right back on it again.
As you said, the damage numbers aren't quite there. Blade of the Rune King on the Jaxes means that you don't have enough to quite shred it down. Long cooldowns on PhD in mid lane. They're really trying to jostle this map with the priority mid with the threat of taking that dragon that they really want to try and get something out of it, BNZ. But you feel like this gold lead doesn't really matter too much now as we do only have that 2k gold closing in. Finally, the dragon gets secured for Team.
Yeah, BNZ really wanted to force that Baron, but they just weren't quite able to. It does a little too much damage at this state in the game. They have no dedicated tank to hold onto it for a while, and because they were so hell-bent on doing the Baron dance 3 times in a row, it ends up costing them. They called for Baron, and the net result of that Baron dance is that they go down 2 turrets, 1 kill, and a dragon. Really disastrous for BNZ. They were in the lead, and all of a sudden, they're actually losing that lead yet again.
Yeah, exactly. That's the 3rd dragon over onto the side of Team. Stacking up all of the CDR, really nice for the True Shot Barrage. Looking for pick potential with the Tempest Fate, as that's now on a 70-second cooldown. Shockwave, massive, 41 seconds. You can just throw that out at will at that point. If you can get a pick with it, that is massive. You can really look to try and get a pick with that now, rather than that massive teamfight explosion that you're maybe looking for earlier.
Yeah, and we're looking at Soul Point. It's crucial for TTT. They really would love to get that final Cloud Dragon and get the Soul. Having some movement speed will enable them to do so much better in these fights. They're getting Glacial augmented on by the Senna and the Morgana. The Xerath R is coming in and connecting every time, and it's just so much harder to execute with all of these slow-moving skill shots if your opponents are sitting on a Cloud Soul where they get all of that movement speed. It's going to be so difficult, and it's actually going to be a massive advantage for TTT if they can get it.
Counter-Strike has been used already into the bottom lane. A little bit of Dawning Shadow trying to save him. Goes golden. A Wild Terry going to go down, but up in the middle of the Baron Pit. A double kill goes over to Elkan as now they're looking aggressive forward. The Raccoon God, the double stun, the Tempered Fate comes out. Foplas goes golden in response, but it's not going to matter. Elkan gets a triple.
That is the Shockwave and the True Shot Barrage. We didn't get to see the whole play because the camera had taken us to bot lane, but that is the Senna and the Morgana both going down in sync with each other. It's a huge pick from Team, and with only Arctic Sands available, they're turning towards this Baron. They don't have their jungler. Arctic Sands is up. He may have to try and force the steal. It's up to D Grubbers to try and zone him off. He's doing his duty for now. The Baron getting low, and just like that, Team in control of the game. Wow.
Yeah, they can now leverage this Baron for that soul as well if they need to. 2 minutes left on that. They can try and push lanes. They still have this bottom tier 3 tower left untouched. Really needs to get taken down. That'll probably be a priority to open up this bottom side to allow team to wrestle vision around this Baron. Oh, Dragon.
Yeah, and this is what happens when you do the Baron dance. I think BNZ just getting burned by the fact that their comp isn't all that good at the Baron. They want to have Jax split pushing. He generates the side lane pressure. He forces Elise to go down to bot lane. The issue, if Jax is in bot lane, they can't do the Baron because he's their Baron damage. And so when he goes down, and when the Orianna and the Ezreal combo to take out the BNZ bot lane, suddenly they're the ones losing Baron. They tried to start that objective so many times, and they're just not able to hold on to it. They actually let it slip through their fingers, and they're on the back foot now. Team retake the lead in this game. It's not a big lead, but when they were behind by as much as 4K gold, this is a big deal.
Yeah, a little bit of a reset for Jax. Really want to see Executioners calling on him. But we just see the damage and shielding coming out onto the Raccoon God. Arctic Sands looking forward, aggressive. Here comes Riot the Arcane. Who can he get low? Couple more charges left. True Shot Barrage comes through the gap. Elcan going forward. Tower falls. However, that is in the bottom. That is with the push. We have a minute left for this dragon spawning for the soul for Team.
Yep, and while all this fighting is going down, the poking is happening. TTT have Teemo SEC pushing in the bot lane. He's able to get a turret. They're cashing in on this static gold that they were behind the curve on. Now that they're able to get these outstanding turrets, they're growing their gold lead a little more. They're keeping the pressure up so that in these 40 seconds, once that Cloud Dragon spawns, they can look towards taking the soul. This is exactly where you want to be at TTT. They just need to play it slow and make sure no one gets caught while they're waiting for the Cloud Dragon to spawn.
Maybe caught into the bottom lane. Arctic Sands, nice kick backwards, but the Showstopper brings him right back to where he was. And he's going to be able to shut down. Shockwave into the middle, and it rips into the heart of BNZ as Team are in the base. They have the Baron buff. Triple kill, that will be the game. Going over to Team. The shockwave was massive. The survival from Teemo SEC to be able to mitigate Arctic Sands engagement. And it's all gone wrong for BNZ as all Team will take the series 3-2 and will make their way into the Dominate Premade final.
That's the risk you take when you go for a fight against a team with Baron knocking on your base. BNZ think they have the pick. Arctic Sands goes in onto Teemo SEC, but instead of getting the pick on the set, it's the Lee Sin getting picked. And then Ezreal over the wall, the Raccoon God in with the Shockwave, and everyone on BNZ gets wiped out. And with the Baron, that's just it. TTT able to secure the kills, get the ace, and take the Nexus in one clean sweep. And just like that, they take game 5, and congratulations to them, because despite the 5-game series, they are able to punch a ticket into the Dominate Premade finals.
Yeah, wonderful for Team. They did win our previous bit, so they'll be there in the finals to be able to defend their title. Team look strong, a little bit shaky. BNZ definitely took them all the way to the ride, all the way to the finish line with game number 5. But what a magnificent pick in the end of that game, just to close out the series there. Team victorious.
What an exciting series. Going the distance. All those games were relatively interesting. Game 4 was a nail biter. And that game 5, it was a comeback. Team holding on. They slipped in game 4. They bounced back. They get a little bit behind in the early game, and they just say, you know what? We'll win this one anyway, too. Really well played by them. Really well played by both teams. It's unfortunate that only one team can advance. Congratulations to Boomers and Zoomers for making it this far, and congratulations to Team for making it to the finals.
Yeah, exactly. We will have that at our normal time. I think because of Mother's Day, we had a little bit of delay here for Tuesday, so a little bit of a shorter time to be able to save face, get back to the finals for Sunday. Really looking forward to that, and who they will face on the other side of the bracket as well. Team looking strong going forward into the final at the Dominate Premade series here at Risen Esports. My name is Riptor, and casting with me this evening, what a pleasure it was to have Coleslaw with me tonight.
Yep. And thank you all for watching. We will see you all on Sunday for the finals, Team versus First Blood Knights. But until then, have a good one.